Alrighty, welcome, guys. Welcome to another live stream with my friend Paul.
Hello.
And this was actually something he requested that
hmm
we talk about. So, why don't you set it up for us?
Sure. So we like to do a live stream. We haven't done one since November. We did a very lengthy one that required a lot of effort on both of our halves to go through and look at all of the Bond scores and soundtracks and rank that. But one of the things that Steven and I both share, aside from being fans of Bond and a lot of fans of just general good cinema, we're also big nerds who like to play video games. So in this video, my idea was that we'd have to talk about our three favorite video games, but also have an honorable mention for something that could be in that spot if something was changed with it. A game that nearly hits it, that just needs a little bit more to make it that top tier game for you. So I thought it'd be a fun
Mhm.
idea for our little live show today.
Yeah, and I tried to really be honest with myself about this because I have already done a top 10 favorite video games video, and not much has stayed the same since then. Because just after I made that video, I got a Nintendo Switch and then a PlayStation 5, and I started rolling back and going through some things. And I tried to pick things less because of their historical significance and because my nostalgia pushes them up as high. I tried to pick things that are in regular rotation for me, that I always go back to them. I always have to make sure I have a copy of them somewhere in the house. Um, and so there's going to be some really unfortunate omissions
hmm
of things that I absolutely adore, and I only have three spots.
Yeah, that was the struggle for us here, is and part of why we did just three. It would be easy for us to list a top 10 or 15 or even a top 5. But three makes it that you really have to have concrete rationale for why those games rank that highly.
Oh, well, thanks, Tears. I find my voice a little nasally to work with, and I've got to listen to it far more than most people because I'm the most reasonable voice actor I know to work with.
And I know I've got a couple of my folks in. The real Dingus MD, I put out a community post this morning and he popped into the stream before we actually went live to drop some comments and to mention he was going to watch the VOD later. And of course, my guy Delonious Monk here. So,
Mm-hmm.
and of course,
Yeah.
our buddy Ross here in chat too.
Mm-hmm. Dingus, I'm gonna level with you right up front. As much as I want to put a Bond game there, I can't.
I mean,
I love
I mean for
Nightfire. My top two Bond games are Everything or Nothing and GoldenEye.
yeah.
But you only have three spots, so there's going to
hmm
be a lot of franchises I really love, a lot of games that I frequently go back to. I can't put.
Yeah, Everything or Nothing might be in my top 50. I like it a lot, but it's good for a Bond game. It's not really great for
I would agree
third
with
person
that.
games as a whole.
You
You
know,
know?
we have yet to have like the Arkham Asylum of Bond games for me, something that
Yeah.
really captures the essence of the character and is a great game in its own right. GoldenEye comes close, but obviously it's limited by technology.
Yeah.
It breaks ground, so it obviously can't bring the refined element to it. And I am hoping 007 First Light will do that, but it's a cautious optimism.
It's, I'd rather say that it's not going to be that and then be happily wrong in the future than to have high expectations and have it land flat, you know.
But hey,
But we'll see.
I give them credit. They're trying, and a lot of the things that I'm seeing, I really like. Here's hoping.
Yes. Yes. So should we hop right into our list?
Yes. Who do you want to go first?
I don't know. I mean, this is one of those things where I think that I kind of have a vague idea of what yours are going to be, and I'm sure you have a vague idea of what
I
mine's going to
do.
be. So I don't know.
So
I'll tell you what. Do you want to go first?
yeah, we'll start with me. Go with number three
Mm-hmm.
that I've picked up, and two of the games I have on my list I actually have physical copies of. The other two, because we're doing a runner-up as well. The other two I no longer have physical copies. So my number three is Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
And here is my legendary edition. I don't know that you guys can see that, but it's signed by the lovely Jennifer Hale. Because I managed to meet her a few months back, and she's just delightful. Um, oh boy, Mass Effect 2. Um, it's not on my list because I think the gameplay is the best it could possibly be.
Sure.
I actually think Mass Effect 3, and you could argue to an extent Mass Effect Andromeda is more fun to play, just as straight gameplay, but it's for the story.
Mm-hmm.
There had been great video game stories before, but rarely had there been one that reminded me that video games are their own storytelling medium, and you can do things with them that you can't do with books or films or whatnot. And Mass Effect 2 is an excellent example of that. The point that I always bring up is the interactive medium of it, that instead of experiencing these things by proxy, you are in the chair. You are the one making these decisions. And so when consequences happen, you feel them directly. So for the final mission of the game, it's the suicide mission. Everything's been building up to it. How well you do on the suicide mission is not based on how much you leveled up or what sort of weapons you have out necessarily. It's how well do you know your squad mates? Where do you place them to do their jobs? And so if anybody lives or dies, you are experiencing the death of friends that you have bonded over for 10, 15, 20 hours or so. And that's something you can't really get in other storytelling mediums. And so for that fact alone, Mass Effect 2 is in my top. But also, I love the Mass Effect trilogy. I play it at least once a year. And 2 is my favorite of the bunch.
I think it has the most compelling story of all four of the Mass Effect games. I think the idea of this, like, the game is training you from the start for the suicide mission. You know, it's all about going through the Omega Relay and doing all that. Like, that's the whole point of the game. And I think that thematically, but also just the plot beats, it works really well. And then talking gameplay-wise, but not the core combat, but the gameplay of the role-playing elements, the fact that the game forces you into specific story moments when you might not be prepared for them, right? Like, was it Harvest? The one where you see Ashley or Caden?
Yeah,
on that one.
Where you go on to the planet Colony, and then it turns out that the Elusive Man just tricked the collectors into coming for you.
Yeah, that, and then where you find the like the Geth ship and you get Legion. I like how they did that, where it's not like a lot of these role-playing games where it's, okay, you go grind levels, you go get gear, and then you can go do the stuff. The game kind of forces some of it on you.
Yeah.
Which I like. And then I think it had the best writing for the characters in the series. I mean, that game had, 12 or 13 people you could put in the squad, compared to 6 in the first two games, first and third.
Almost all of them that aren't humans are, like, really excellent. This is my favorite cast of supporting characters. It has some of my favorite vocal performances in any game. Martin Sheen as the Elusive Man is amazing.
Fantastic.
Jennifer Hale rightly got her awards for this game. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mass Effect 2 is my favorite of the series. That would probably be in a top 15 for me, just because I liked it a lot when I was younger, when the game came out, and I replayed through it last year, and I enjoyed it a lot too. But it's, yeah, I mean, Mass Effect 2 is fantastic. There's not much to say there. That's like a nearly perfect game.
Yeah, I like the other two games around it for different reasons, but not as much as I like 2.
Sure. Yeah, well, I think 1, it's really lacking for the raw gameplay. And then, like, the actual, for me, for 1 and 3, 1, it has the issue where going from planet to planet for the main plot is kind of dull. Like, there's some fun parts, but
a really slow and boring game for a lot of it. I appreciate the world building. I appreciate the exploration. I want a little bit more punch in my hours of gameplay that I'm going to do with it. And there's so much setting up. There's so much... And it feels tedious, like when you get onto the Citadel in the beginning. I know for a lot of people that was like their favorite thing. I dread doing some of that just because I got to go talk to this person and go talk to this person, and like it's setting things up. It's important, but it feels dull in comparison. A lot of this exploration.
Especially when you think that, I think that the Citadel and a lot of what happens in Mass Effect 1 is like a KOTOR style thing, where I'm more okay with it in the first KOTOR because that game is a slower paced game. It's a turn-based, real-time role-playing game. Whereas with Mass Effect being a third-person shooter, cover shooter, it does feel a little bit weird. And Yeah, and 3, you and I talked about 3 recently. I like 3, you like 3. My gripe with 3 is just that it has some tonal inconsistencies where
Hmm.
it's like, the Reapers are at the door, we have to stop them, but let's go have a party at the apartment. Let's go do all this side questing that doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that narrative dissonance does bother me.
It would be like if, you had, I mean, name anything where it's like, okay, it's Dark Knight Rises, Bane's controlling the city, but I have to go stop, Two-Face from robbing the bank, you know?
Yeah, or take a shower and go do a Fire Emblem of the Bat just for dramatic effect. Yeah, it's really weird.
But Mass Effect
No,
2 is fantastic.
yeah. So that's my third choice. What is your number 3?
So you mentioned that yours are ones that are games you currently play, games you still play, and that's how mine are too.
Hmm.
And for the 3 that I have, they are all ones that I really, really enjoy. I am nostalgic for 2 of them, but I still go back and play them at least once a year, if not more than once a year, because they are a little bit shorter.
Hmm.
And for my number 3, I do have physical copies, but I won't grab one. What I will do is point to this over here, and I will grab this over here. It's on this side. I'm not mirrored. And this, my number 3 is Halo 3. I needed to have a Halo game in here because these games have been very important to me. And when it comes to Halo, and specifically Halo 3, you and I are both big Halo fans. Halo 3 is not my favorite campaign out of the franchise, but it is my favorite combined experience for a video game. I think that Halo 3 may have been the peak point in internet multiplayer for video games. I think it may have been at the point where it was the best execution with a community, with what people wanted, with what the game was doing, with the execution. And then you factor in that you have a game that has a great art style, has a great campaign, wonderful score. It's not a perfect campaign, but it's very good, and I think it was a great end to the original trilogy. But as a whole, I mean, Halo 3, there's so much that game did that has sent ripples, which I'm not factoring that in as part of why I like it, but it was one of the first games that offered a theater mode to watch matches you played. The Forge mode was really important. The ability for Bungie to say, hey, here's a way that you can get on Bungie.net and share your screenshots and gameplay in an era where YouTube was still in its infancy, right?
Yeah.
And I have many fond memories from back then, but coming back to it now, Halo 3 is still a very, very enjoyable experience to me. So whether I'm playing campaign, whether I'm playing co-op, whether I'm doing couch multiplayer on Xbox Live or on the PC, it is fantastic.
Yeah. I want to clarify. I think of myself as more a casual fan of Halo than anything. I certainly don't get into lore or anything like that, but I do enjoy playing several of the games. And Halo 3 is not my favorite, but I completely understand why it is the favorite for everybody else. I think Halo 2 has a stronger campaign.
I think the campaign's awful in Halo 2 myself.
Yeah, but it's what it is, and I'm a weirdo that doesn't particularly like the original Halo. But 3, I really can't argue about that multiplayer experience, either co-op or online, offline. I've spent way too much time just playing those because that's what everybody wanted to play. We had 3 or 4 multiplayer games in rotation, and it was Halo 3 or Gears of War 2 that would end up being the ones we'd always go to.
And Gears 2 is one that I think also hit a similar stride, but it just didn't have the staying power due to it not getting the support that... I mean, Gears 1 has gotten more support despite the fact that I think most people prefer Gears 2. But Gears 2 is a game that I have I have my physical copy that I bought in 2008 still. I've had it for nearly 2 decades.
Yeah. Unfortunately, there's not a Gears game on my list.
Me either. That might be hard to do.
Yeah. I think originally I had it as a runner-up in my top 10 video. I have since kind of reconsidered that because I've gone back and played some other games from PlayStation and Nintendo, and I'm like, no, there are other ones I'd put on there. But like he said, like if I was doing a top 20, top 25, Gears 2 would almost certainly be in there.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is that Microsoft was just very strong with their console shooters in that era of the 360.
Hmm.
right? Where Gears
Yeah.
1 and 2 were utterly fantastic. Gears 3 is quite good too, but that was kind of the tail end of the 360 still being, you know, Call
Yeah.
of Duty had taken over by that point and kind of become the dominant franchise.
Whereas
But
Halo just kind of seemed to keep going up,
well,
where it went through its
sort of.
trilogy.
Yeah, I mean, like CE was really, I mean, a massive game for the Xbox, and the fact that they got a
It's a
PC
really
port that was
important
big.
game.
Yeah, and Halo 2 is very important for Xbox Live. For me, the campaign just is unfinished. And that's, I mean, if you
I
ever
understand that.
listen to
Hmm.
documentaries about the game, even the Bungie staff were like, yeah, we had 10 months to make the campaign. We cut
Yeah,
five
I
or six
get it.
levels out of it. But three's not my favorite campaign, and
I think I
it's just
think
really
weirdly it
good
feels
combo.
short. Weirdly, I think it feels short, and it's one of two halves where like the first half is all set in the first act,
Hmm.
and then the second half covers the other two acts, so it feels weirdly unbalanced. However, it is probably the most well-rounded in terms of gameplay of that campaign. I've played it quite a bit, and I always have fun,
Well,
except
and
except for the flood mission towards
I
the
don't
end.
mind Cortana. I don't mind that level, but I'm weird where I
It's
like the
it's
flood
the
levels in these
nadir.
games.
It's the nadir of the game for me, but I can think of
Sure,
worse flood levels.
I Halo 2 has a lot of them.
Yeah, I hate the flood. I always have. So
I
ever since they died their horrible death in 3, I have been very happy not to have them back.
Well, hey, we'll get you playing Halo Wars, and then you can fight the flood there.
Oh dear. No.
But
Yeah,
yeah, Halo 3 is my number 3 game. I see Dylan here in chat saying that he was a prolific Forge maker. Forge was such an impressive thing. It was a great time sink. And again, I have to put this into the minds for some folks who didn't play Halo 3 when it came out. Forge did a lot of stuff that you'd later see in things like Minecraft. It was
it
a
was
pre-Minecraft creative
huge.
thing. It was massive.
Yeah, it was huge. I didn't even have access regularly to internet when that game
Hmm.
came out, and even I knew about Forge and how much everybody loved it.
I when Halo 3 came out, I was 12 years old, and I used my snow shoveling money and my grass cutting money to get Wi-Fi at my house in 2007, so I could
Mhm.
play Xbox Live and play Forge and multiplayer with my friends. So, and that's the thing, is that I playing custom games, and for me, part of it is that Halo Reach to me was a step back. It did not feel as clean, as consistent as Halo 3 did all
Mhm.
across the board. And that's one of those things that for me has made Halo 3 just really stick. Then again, it's not my favorite campaign, and the multiplayer is my favorite, but it's to me it's a great combination. When it comes to first person shooters, it is really, really up there for me. I think for me Halo 3 is like Doom for me. That is like the thing. So it's hard for me to beat it.
Yeah. Akers has been asking us a few questions. Should we quickly
Of course,
run
yeah, let's
through
do it
those?
before we get to number 2 here.
Yeah. What movie do you want a video game for? Ooh. Of ones
Uh,
that haven't had one yet, I don't really know if there's much.
Truth be told, I'm the kind of person who doesn't want to see movies turned into video games or video games turned into movies. I'd rather let the mediums be their own mediums.
Hmm. There's only a handful of exceptions where I think a video game could work well as a movie, but yeah, for the most part, I want video games to be video games, movies to be movies. I don't mind movie franchises trying things within video games, but I'm far more okay with them doing their own original thing within that same universe.
Yeah,
Um, Hence why, like, my favorite Star Wars games are not the ones that adapt the movies.
yeah.
My favorite Bond games don't tend to be the ones that adapt the movies. They tend to be their own original things. And so on that front, yes, Bond needs more video games. I think Indiana Jones has been incredibly underserved
Yeah.
with video games, and it's just sitting right there. I mean,
Well, it's
Indiana
we've had
Jones
what
and the Great
two
Circle.
good Indiana Jones games
Yeah,
ever.
well, yeah. So you have Fate of Atlantis, which is really great. If you count the SNES, you have Greatest Adventures, which is just Super Star Wars, but doing the whole
Mhm.
trilogy. And then you have
Infernal
the Great
Machine.
Circle.
Wasn't Infernal Machine
Oh
an
yeah,
Xbox
you have
game?
Infernal Machine is the N64
Oh
era,
yeah.
the clone of Tomb Raider. Emperor's Tomb is the Xbox game, and as much as I want to give that praise, I have to take it back because I have played it fairly frequently in the last few years, and some of those controls are rough. I like the story. I like the idea of where they're going with it. Great Circle, I hope, is heralding a new time where we can get a few more indie games.
My only worry there is I want to see another Wolfenstein game, and that's what, after Youngbloods flopped, that's, they went and pivoted and made that. So hopefully we get another Wolfenstein game out of that studio. But yeah, no, I mean, I did go back and beat Great Circle, even though I was kind of bored by a lot of it. I did go back and play through it and beat it, and that was good.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but because I have all these other games that I'm getting into, I haven't gone back and played Great Circle since I beat it, and it's a little sad because I would like to, but currently sitting on my shelf right now is God of War Ragnarok, so which I have never played, so I kind of feel like I have an obligation to do that first.
I guess going through here for more of Acre's questions, Milan's Secret Castle. I don't know if I ever played that. I don't even know what that is. Streets of Rage. I've played it on an arcade machine before, but it's not something I would. For me, even for side-scrolling beat 'em ups, there have been a lot better ones over the years because they do well.
I'm not a fan of the fighting games.
Yeah, and State of Emergency is a game that I've never played, but I remember seeing it on the shelves at Blockbuster. Because they had the goofy art with everything on fire.
Yep.
And then they put Shining Force 2, which I never played, but Earthbound. I've played Earthbound. Earthbound is very good.
Yeah. Earthbound's good. And, the very first gaming console I ever did was the original Nintendo Entertainment System. So I kind of began as early as most of us could reasonably do. And unfortunately, no NES or Super Nintendo games are on my list. So, but there are some really good ones there.
And this is a thing for me, is that I wanted to have something from pre-2000, but everything I have is from the 21st century.
I do have one that is pre-2000.
I probably know what it is. But we'll get to it here.
Yeah.
So should we continue on with the list? Get to number 2?
Yeah, let's get to number 2. Number 2, I used to have a physical copy of this because I went and purchased it day of, and it was my most anticipated game of that year. I since have a digital version. It's Batman Arkham City.
Okay, so Arkham City was a game that I struggled. I was like, is that going to be in my top 3? Because Arkham City is one of the best games ever made, as far as I'm concerned.
It's
so good. That's a game that, I mean, you've done a video on Arkham City, I believe.
I have included it as part of my video game
ranking.
Yes. So I have talked about it before. I have considered doing a whole Arkham retrospective, but the reason I haven't pulled the trigger on that is because I don't feel like I could add anything to what
that's the issue.
Said.
Arkham City is like a nearly perfect game. It's a great Metroidvania style, semi-open world, flows into the side stuff and the main plot. The combat is great. The score and the soundtrack are fantastic. The presentation's great. I think it does Batman great, both as a game but also as a gameplay experience.
Yeah.
It's just utterly fantastic.
Yeah. It has the best performances of Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as those characters. In addition to the gameplay, because it's all pretty much excellent. And I'm one of the weird people that never had a problem with the Riddler trophies. That seems to be the bane of some fandom's existence. The 400 Riddler trophies, it's busy work. It's not that hard to do a lot of them. I think the biggest thing that makes me just love the game as a Batman fan, even if not everybody is used to the extent that I would like, when they're all on screen, it's pitch perfect. It's exactly who those characters are. Those voices match exactly what I would imagine they'd sound like. I wish Two-Face was more in the game. I wish Penguin was less in the game, but spot on. Those are those characters. Catwoman's the same way. Ra's al Ghul's the same way. Frickin' Hush is the same.
Yeah, and I think that Hugo Strange was a character that I was happy to see there, and
I
the
was
whole
happy
idea
for the variety of having him.
Yeah, it was. I mean, sure, it's all 3 of the Arkham games are Joker games, but at the core of it, they're not just Joker. It's there's a lot that goes on And I mean, for me, when I try to think of like what I don't really like with Arkham, for Arkham City, I can't think of much. I think the pacing is a little spotty at certain points, but aside from that, like Arkham City is a 10 out of 10 game for me.
And yeah, I wonder how much of that pacing is just because it's open. So so the pacing's kind of determined by your actions, but also just when you go open, you tend to lose story structure, and you just got to decide if that's a sacrifice you can live with. My only real problem with it is some of the Catwoman stuff.
Sure.
Catwoman's just not as much fun to play as Batman, and there are a couple of her story missions I don't care for. The big one happens after the story is wrapped up, where you go back in and you do the Two-Face stuff, and you have that stupid Predator room.
In the museum.
In the museum. I love Predator mode. It's my favorite thing in Arkham, but that mission drives me up the wall. Because it has constantly respawning enemies, and you've got to just focus on Two-Face, and man, that rocket launcher takes a chunk out of your health. That's my only real problem with the game.
And part of it... Well, and the interesting thing there is that when Arkham City came out, the Catwoman stuff was DLC.
It was.
So it's, and I will say that like the Nightwing Robin DLC for that, not great. But also, the core game is fantastic.
Yeah, if you just bought the game by itself, none of the DLC stuff, I don't really think there's much to pick at with it.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where I could nearly like Night more, but Night has pacing issues too due to the open world, but also, I honestly think Arkham Knight is too much game.
Okay.
I know a lot of people like to talk about the time and value when a game like that's a game that if you wanted to 100% it, which is actually more than 100% when you finish it, it's like 50 or 60 hours for just the actual campaign. It's very lengthy.
It's not that long, but I do get your point, because I do 100% the game every time I play it, because I adore Arkham Knight. The reason that it's not on here is because that story is very sloppy.
Oh yeah, it's all over the place.
With a lot of the things that it does. And whereas Arkham City, I really can't find a big problem with its story missions in the campaign. Like I can't think of one I really dread. There are a couple in Arkham Knight I'm like, oh no, I'm at this point.
when you're going up the tower with the Batmobile. And you're repelling the Batmobile.
I really like the Batmobile, but there's even a couple of missions with the Batmobile. I'm like, oh no, I'm at this point again. The cloud burst. Oh my gosh.
I mean, the Arkham Knight's not on the list, but I still like it a lot. I didn't play it until 3 or 4 years after it came out because the game had all the issues and bugs at launch.
Oh yeah.
And when I finally got to it, I was like, wow, this game's fantastic. It's not Arkham City, but I like it more than everything that isn't Arkham City as part of the Arkham games.
Yeah. All right, so what's your number 2?
My number 2 is one that I don't have a physical copy of, but I do have a prop for, and that is the jacket over here. And that is Resident Evil 4 Remake from 3 years ago. And this might get some folks a little unhappy, but I'm a big Resident Evil fan.
Yeah, because the original is such a classic, you don't touch it.
Yes, well, I will say this. Resident Evil 4, the original game, is very, very important. It changed the landscape for third-person games. It changed the landscape for third-person action horror. Dead Space exists because Resident Evil 4 exists. A lot of other games exist because Resident Evil 4 exists. Resident Evil 4, to me, is a fundamentally flawed game. And it has the issue where... Have you played Resident Evil 4, the original?
Mm-mm.
So Resident Evil 4, as a core of it, it has like 3 distinct areas. You have the village in Spain. You have the castle... And then you have an island that is awful. The island section in the original Resident Evil 4 is something that has tonal issues and is just not very good. And I mention all of that to say that Resident Evil 4 Remake takes those 3 core items, the town, the castle, the island, and it makes the island fun. Which, for me, the island was not very enjoyable in the original game. They had enemies that had miniguns. It had really goofy and like stuff where they were kind of trying to push some weird things. And for me, Resident Evil 4 Remake is what I want to see out of a remake. It looks at the source material. It says that is its own separate thing. We're going to take the themes from that and some of the plot from that, and we're going to overhaul the gameplay. We're going to change how a lot of things work. And for me, Resident Evil 4 Remake, as a game, as the raw elements of just playing it, the remake is extremely fun. I replayed it earlier this week on the highest difficulty to lead in for the new Resident Evil game coming out. And that was probably truthfully, my 40th complete playthrough of the game since it came out 3 years ago. And because I've played a lot of Resident Evil 4 Remake. I 100% of the game within like a week and a half of it coming out back in 2023. And I'm still enjoying it. I'm still loving it. It's still fun. The raw gameplay, the third-person combat, the melee system, the parrying, the presentation of the game with how the characters act, how it looks, how the soundtrack is done, where they reorchestrated the original soundtrack and beefed up some kind of goofier tracks. When you get to that island, it plays music that sounds like it's straight out of Predator. It's very goofy. And They overhauled it so it's music that's appropriate. And it's funny, because Resident Evil 4 Remake is my favorite game in the series, and my previous favorite before that was the original remake of Resident Evil from 24 years ago now.
Yeah.
And that's a game that I think is a nearly perfect survival horror game. They took Resident Evil, they said, okay, here's the parts that don't work, we're going to fix it, and we're going to change up the orientation. So if you played it the first time, it'll be familiar, but it's not the same. And Resident Evil 4 Remake did the same thing, but for Resident Evil 4. And to me, like Resident Evil 2, the remake for that's fantastic, but they did cut some stuff out of it.
Sure.
With the system of if you do stuff as Leon, it doesn't actually show up in Claire's campaign anymore, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And Resident Evil 3 had its own remake issues where they cut out a lot. Resident Evil 4 took the base game and then the expansion that was part of how the game shipped, where you play as Ada Wong, and it made it so much better for both. For me. Now, I still love the original. The original is a game that I like a lot. It is certainly not my favorite Resident Evil. It's not even in like my top 10 for the Resident Evil games. But when it comes to my favorite... It might be fighting words, but I'm the kind of guy that prefers playing Resident Evil 5. 5 is the same thing as 4 for the gameplay, except as co-op. And I think it's the best co-op game of all time for a two-player co-op game.
I am a really brand new experience of Resident Evil, and even I know putting Resident Evil 5 over 4 would just get you mauled.
But, I mean, 5's a game that people have come back around on now, because it's a great co-op game. I still love 5. And then going forward is that Resident Evil 8 from about 5 years back, the one with Lady Dimitrescu, the vampires, that game was kind of like a spiritual sequel to Resident Evil 4. Because you have the spooky European village in the mountains, you have more of the kind of fantastical, mythical things. I like Resident Evil 8 more than I like Resident Evil 4. Mm-hmm. But the 4 remake, to me, it has taken everything that I had issues with in Resident Evil 4 and corrected it. And then on top of that, as a gameplay experience, and I'm someone that as I get older, I still appreciate a good plot in a game, but as a gameplay experience, it is so enjoyable to play Resident Evil 4 Remake. It's just a fun game. If the plot was good, that wouldn't get me to play the campaign 40 times, right? You know? Yeah.
So, which I definitely have that problem with some older games that just do gameplay over story. I think gameplay is the more important, actually, of the two. But that said, if you're going to make it on my list, it's got to be something where I enjoy the gameplay and story.
Oh, sure. Yeah. But yeah, that's my number 2. It's a game that I enjoy quite a bit. I do like the story. The story is good. And I will tell you this, and you and I have talked about this offline, but Resident Evil, there is a big overarching plot, but it does not really matter. What matters is the individual plot for each game. Resident Evil 2 is that we've got 2 people stuck in the police station, and it's full of zombies, and they have to get out, right? The original game, it's a SWAT team stuck in a zombie mansion, right? Resident Evil 4, at the core of it, is the president's daughter has been kidnapped by weird, infested zombie people. Go rescue the president's kid.
Yeah.
And the plot itself, you have goofy villains and stuff like that, and eccentric characters, but it works really well because at the core of it, the plot itself is still fairly simple. It's they kidnap the president's daughter. Go save the president's kid. So...
Yeah. Dylan just posted in there about how the remakes make him sad. Yeah, I have nothing really to refute that because I did not. I was way too young to play the originals. I did have a PlayStation back in the day. So if my parents were a little bit more liberal in letting me play certain things, I might have played Resident Evil. I might have played Tomb Raider back in the day, but I didn't. My very first game in Resident Evil was only a few months ago, which was on Paul's recommendation. I did 2 remake, and I don't know if I can call that a faithful game because I have no experience with the original game, but it did its job. It hooked me.
I will say this.
The first time playing through, I was like, survival horror is not my thing. I don't know if I'm going to get into it. 4 days later, I had gone through the campaign an additional 4 times.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the heck out of it.
I will say that Resident Evil 2 is a lot more faithful to Resident Evil 2. The remake is more faithful
than 3. I know that.
RE3 Remake as a standalone game is short, but it's very enjoyable. I do enjoy it. It's a fun game. But they cut out quite a bit with like the middle, third of the game. Resident Evil 2 Remake, truthfully, the only change that they did is that they don't have that zapping system, as they called it, where if you unlock certain doors, or they'd be unlocked in the opposite scenario for Claire or Leon.
And I guess I can kind of understand why they did that.
It's hard, because that would require a lot more time to go into the game, which they have time. But when you look at the production for it, I think that game had a 2-year-long production period. And when it came out, it was pretty cutting edge for how it looked. It was pretty cutting edge for the engine. It was the second game to use that newer RE engine. I think that's what they're using. Yeah, the RE engine.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where Resident Evil 2 is a game that I like the remake a lot. I put the remake and the original on par with each other. For RE3, the original game, I've got a little miniature store stand-in thing here. The original RE3 is a lot better than the remake. But RE2 Remake, if you go back and play the original, you can see, like, okay, yes, this is a remake of that. And you can see where they streamline certain things. And there are certain areas, because, of course, the game was 21 years apart when the remake came out.
Yeah.
And for the remake, the big thing is that the atmosphere is better, because they have better lighting. When you play the original Resident Evil 2 and you're in the open area for the RPD, it is totally flatly lit from the top, because they could not do lighting to be more moody. Right? It was a PlayStation 1 game.
Come out 98.
98, yeah. And when you play the original Resident Evil from 1996, that one has even more of it, where the lighting is just flat, constant, bright lighting. And if I would recommend going and playing the original Resident Evil remake that was on the GameCube 24 years ago, that's on PC and Xbox and everything now, probably on an iPad at this point.
Probably.
Which I played RE2 Remake on my iPad before. That was fun. But that's a game that shows you what they did with technology in 6 years. And to me, RE2 Remake, they did cut a little bit out, but nothing that is so substantial that it ruins my experience or really makes me think negatively of it. To me, RE2 and RE2 Remake are both like, I'd hate to do a number system. They're both like 9 3/4 out of 10 for me. They're nearly perfect games.
Mm-hmm. All right. So which one are we doing next?
I would say let's answer. We have a couple more questions from Akers here, and then we can do our honorable mention category. So Akers has here our favorite racing game and then our favorite simulator game.
All right. So racing game, I remember putting a lot of time back into like Gran Turismo 2 back in the day. As much as I enjoy Mario Kart, that's just... I don't know that that's like the best example. I've spent a lot of time on like Star Wars Episode 1 Racer. The only racing game that I have and I regularly go back to is kind of odd to pick as a racing game because it's Forza Horizon 4, which is the one that is set in England. And I can have the races if I want it, but I can also just free roam around England.
Yeah.
It's really fun. And of course, being the fan of a certain secret agent that we are, that's the DLC I purchased for the thing. And yes, I have a great time bombing around in all of those cars in the English countryside.
The Horizon games are fantastic. They aren't perfect,
No,
But
no.
I think that they take, and you probably never played Test Drive,
Mm-mm.
but Test Drive was a racing series back in the late 90s, early 2000s. They had a game called Test Drive Unlimited, which was kind of like it was, they literally geo-mapped Oahu in Hawaii, and the entire
Okay.
game is on the island.
Nice.
And Horizon kind of took that idea and ran with it as a franchise that had better funding and better stuff. They have more cars and whatnot, and those are great. For racing, for me, this is going to be a deep cut for those in chat. Colin McRae's Rally Racing 2005 would be my favorite racing game.
No idea what that is.
Colin McRae was one of the best World Rally Championship winners in the 90s and 2000s. He died in a helicopter crash about 20 years back, but he was a Scottish rally racer who raced for Subaru and Ford during the 90s and 2000s. And if you've ever heard of the Dirt games, Dirt is the sequel of Colin McRae Rally. After Colin McRae died, they removed his name from the series just because he was dead. So yeah, Dirt, if you ever heard of Dirt, I think the first Dirt may have been called Colin McRae's Dirt. And then for Dirt 2 onward, they changed it. But Colin McRae Rally Racing 2005 specifically. And then for simulators are one of those ones where there's so many out there.
Simulator.
When I think simulator, I am thinking a game that is a proper sim. A game that requires more than just cursory knowledge to play. And
that's not a genre I really delved into, so I can't say anything.
Yeah, it's like, to me, sim is like aircraft sims. You have maybe even strategy sims or games where it's like there's like the mechanic simulator where you literally disassemble cars and you have to remove bolts and use degreaser and whatnot. That one's hard because I have put a lot of time into War Thunder and the sim modes in War Thunder, and I have played a fair bit of DCS in the past. I like aircraft stuff, so I would say
sure.
Yeah, probably DCS or War Thunder.
Yeah. I don't think I've done anything more than a train simulator on Microsoft back in the day.
Hey, that's a good enough answer.
Yeah.
So, well, should we get into our honorable mention?
All right. Yep. This one's going to be contentious for people, for all three people watching. As big of a Star Wars fan as I am, I've got to put one on there, and my runner-up is Knights of the Old Republic 2. But with an asterisk, because I have problems with it. Even if you put the restored content mod in, I still have problems with it. Yes. I think it has some atrocious pacing at times.
Oh, it's awful.
And I cannot defend its incomplete story.
Yes.
Even with the restored content mod put back in, it's still incomplete. I get that.
That's a game where like the first 10 hours are borderline awful.
But I've played it enough times that it's only the Telos bit that's awful to me. The rest of it is fine.
Peragus 4. I hate Peragus 4.
2. It's
Peragus 2.
Yes, the
I hate it. I hate it.
I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it. It's because Telos comes right afterwards and strips you away of a lot of things, and you got to build it back up. That kills some things for me. But other than that, it takes everything I love from KOTOR 1 and improves on it. The gameplay with its extra powers and additional combat styles is great. There's actually a gameplay incentive to going gray rather than just going full light or full dark. The light side, dark side systems cannot just be changed with one choice. You got to earn your way back one way or the other. You can influence your companions. They receive buffs. Some of them you can train as Jedi. The cast of characters, I think, as a whole, is a step up from the original. The music's better. Selection of worlds more interesting to me. I think overall the writing is really interesting and is nuanced. And there's just this pervasive sense of darkness and despair, and you can either be the one to bring hope to everybody else, or you can take advantage of it to your in your own way. And it's doing a kind of story that I've read a lot of the expanded universe back in the day. I've played a lot of the video games. Of course, I know the movies plenty well. I can't recall another story that from the Star Wars world that does exactly something like this. And Star Wars does have a problem of repetition that cannot be escaped. It repeats itself a lot. And, when something goes on, and KOTOR 1, I actually accuse it of doing some of that. It's very much on repeat of some of the stuff from the original trilogy. KOTOR 2, by going original and bringing me into it. I have played KOTOR 1, probably about 30 plus times. KOTOR 2, I've probably done about 40 plus. I play it more.
And it's funny because we've talked about this offline, but when I was a kid, when KOTOR 1 and 2 came out, I went to Star Wars camp like 2 years in a row at an internet cafe where all we did was play KOTOR, and then the next year we played KOTOR 2. So I played a lot of KOTOR 1 and 2, and part of us doing this honorable mention, obviously it's our top 3, so our honorable mention's not number 2, it's separate.
Yeah,
we want to cover games that need something, and if they had that piece added to it or a piece removed from it and something swapped in there, it would be nearly perfect.
Yeah,
and KOTOR 2 is one of those games.
Isn't necessarily my number 4.
Yeah,
but it is the one that, like, if it had one or two things to it, it would be in the top 3. It's my living daylights of the series.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that KOTOR 2. If they trimmed down the intro, if you left the handmaiden base 4 hours in instead of it being 8 to 10,
yeah.
If they changed the pacing, if they made some of the plot beats a little bit,
if they actually had time to freaking finish it,
yes. And so the funny thing is, this comes into play for my honorable mention too. But I'm right there with you. You know me, I'm not really a Star Wars fan anymore.
Yes,
but KOTOR and KOTOR 2. If KOTOR 2 is executed the way it should have been, that's a game that would transcend role-playing games. Not just Star Wars, but role-playing games.
Yep.
And it did have a lot of impacts as how Obsidian and other companies did their games going forward.
Oh, yeah.
But they had, 18, 16 months to do that game? And it feels like that.
Yeah.
If that.
It does show.
It does.
But there have been great games that have been developed with far less time. And I think it's still remarkable what they were able to do with that limited amount of time.
Yeah, no, it's impressive. It's impressive. And it's funny because my honorable mention is also a game from Obsidian.
Okay.
And it's Fallout New Vegas.
Yep.
Fallout New Vegas is a game that everybody likes. And it's a game that I bought when it came out because I was a fan of Fallout before New Vegas came out. And this is not a back in my day type of thing.
Sure.
I didn't play Fallout 1 and 2 until the gap between 3 and New Vegas. I got them for the computer because I really liked Fallout 3. I have this little lunchbox over here that I got at the midnight release for Fallout 3 because I was a big Oblivion fan. And I wanted to play the next game from Bethesda. New Vegas is a game that has a lot of warts on it. And it's a game that I think is fantastic, but it's a game that if the developers were given more time to work on it, it would be a very definitive game. Now, this is not me taking away from it, me saying that I don't like it. Obviously, I like it. I have traveled to many, many spots from the game in real life because of the game. I went hiking last month on a mountain range that shows up in the game just because it's in the game.
And I'm very much that kind of person that will go out of my way if I'm in a city that has a location that I know about that's featured in a film or a book I like. I will go out of my way to go see it just because I'm me.
And I've visited Good Springs. I've been to Primm. I hiked up Black Mountain and Red Mountain, which are right next to it. I've been to Red Rock Canyon. Of course, I've been on the Strip. I was at Lake Mead last month. I've been to Zion. Mm-hmm. And the thing for me is that if New Vegas, it's less of a pacing issue like KOTOR 2, but the game has some areas that are just unfinished. And for me, the two most distinct parts are Caesar's Legion in the game, so the main oppositional faction. Their plotline, if you decide to do the evil playthrough, is not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is the downloadable content, the DLC. For me, it's 2 really good DLCs, 1 decent one, and then a bad one. And one of my least favorite things in a game is where they introduce a self-insert for the writers or a Deus Ex Machina that is just stupid.
Okay.
And one of the things about New Vegas is that they did that with the downloadable content. if you don't have any of the DLC installed, DLC installed, if it's just a vanilla copy of the game, there's a character who is not present at all. But the second that you install the DLC, they add this character named Ulysses, who shows up in the last DLC into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a guy who is responsible for everything that happens in the course of the game, of you being selected so that you're shot and the game happens. Fallout New Vegas to me is more impressive if you're a mailman who got unlucky. That is a role-playing game thing that I like more.
It's like a bad mystery movie where like the intrigue is more interesting than the reveal.
Yes, and that's why, like, I think about Bethesda games. I really like Oblivion. I really like Morrowind, and Morrowind is about you convincing people that you were a god, right? So that's kind of like, okay, you're already the god. I like Oblivion more from the perspective of, you're in jail, and the king shows up, or the emperor shows up, he's like, I've seen you in my dreams. Why don't you tag along? And then you aren't even the guy who solves the problem. You're the guy who helps the guy get there. and I've appreciated role-playing games where you are not the guy. You are just a guy, or just a girl, or just a person.
Yeah.
In Oblivion, you were the hero of Kvatch. You were not the Dragonborn. You were not Nerevar. You were the hero of this one battle in a town. And yes, in the expansions, you can become a Daedric demigod thing.
Yeah, but like you progress to being something like that.
Yes.
You start out as basically the bottom of the barrel.
And with New Vegas, when they now have a character who is basically, okay, I am responsible for you doing this, and they give you backstory that happens before you took over. For a role-playing game, I prefer to have a blank slate, or do it like Mass Effect where you get to choose your background. With New Vegas, they did it nearly perfectly with how the game launched, and then they added in this character who kind of chose, like, oh, actually, I'm responsible for you getting shot in the head at the first cutscene of the game. I like it better when you're just an unlucky mailman. You were the wrong UPS driver this day. And now you're all, angry mailman tears across the Mojave Wasteland. But if they could flesh out, if that game could have had some fleshed out stuff for the base game, and if they had rewritten some of the plot stuff, that to me would be like the definitive role-playing game of all time.
All right.
But as it is, it's not.
All right. Shall we reveal the number one?
I am down for that.
All right. Mine is probably the most basic answer anybody is ever going to give. I don't care. This is my honest opinion.
I know what it is. I have an instrument I can pull out here.
Exactly. It is The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I have said in the past that Wind Waker was my favorite Zelda game. I have since backtracked on that a bit. And because the reason that Ocarina of Time is still, to me, the definitive Zelda game, it took A Link to the Past, put it in 3D, and made it just like it was always meant to be there. There's hardly many rough patches with it. And so that consistency from beginning to end just being wonderful is the reason that I put it at my number one spot. Much in the same way as like you talked about with the Resident Evil 4 remake. A game's got to be doing something right if I've played it 40 plus times.
Yeah.
Ocarina, it would probably be no exaggeration to say I've played that at least 40 times, probably closer to 50. I never get tired of it. Yeah, it's the only game that I have gone out of my way to 100% several times. I don't usually 100% it anymore because there's no point to doing that, but I don't care if I know everything about this game like the back of my hand. I still just get really excited when I'm like, what do I want to play? Ooh, Ocarina. We'll do that.
Would you say it's like a comfort game then? That if you're having a day where you're sick, you put on Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, there are about 5 or so games that, like, if I don't want to go through something new. I don't want to go through something clunky or anything like that. Just something I know I love and enjoy all the way through. It's Ocarina.
It's funny because my comfort game, and this is not my number one, but the comfort game, my comfort game is Dark Souls.
All right.
When
you've played it often enough, fine.
Yeah,
sure.
Well, and the crazy part there is, Ocarina of Time is a game that you played in the 90s.
Yeah, I played it pretty close to when it came out.
Dark Souls is a game I didn't start playing until like 4 years ago, and it's my comfort game. Like Kaylee will tell you this. If I'm homesick, it's like, okay, throw on Dark Souls or throw on a Resident Evil game. Like, I'm not playing something cozy and easy. It's like, no, I need to be able to parry this stuff while I'm, blowing snot out of my face.
Yeah, my 5 comfort games, ranking within a ranking. Ocarina of Time is on there. Jedi Fallen Order is on there.
Sure.
Because I'm a Star Wars guy. The original Tomb Raider is now on there.
Mm-hmm.
Metroid Zero Mission is on there. And GoldenEye 007 for the N64. Those are my 5 games that like I'm always going back to just as a comfort thing.
Yeah. I know for me, Dark Souls 3, the Resident Evil 2 remake. Resident Evil 2 remake is a game that I've beaten in like 50 minutes before. I did some light speed running of it back in the day.
My fastest was about 4 hours, but I was still fairly new to it.
But that's in comfort games where they don't have to be perfect games. Dark Souls is a game that I could have thrown as my honorable mention, where the second half of Dark Souls was pretty bad. Like, they ran out of money, they ran out of development time to finish the game, but I still like it. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Ocarina of Time. I'm not a fan of Ocarina of Time, and I've still beaten the game 3 times. Like, I have tried, so.
It's okay. It's okay. It doesn't have to be. Not everybody's into the Zelda thing. My only problem with this game is some of the mini games.
Mm-hmm.
The fishing mini game is so boring. It is so boring. And there's so little margin of error for some of the target practice ones.
Yeah.
I love the idea of them, and I do them on occasion because I need the better quiver. But when its problem is a couple of mini games, but everything else normally about it is just excellent, I don't really think there's a real dud of a temple to go through. It doesn't have the problem of some Zelda games where it's just pushing you to go from temple to temple. There's always downtime in between.
Yeah.
Them. I think Link's Awakening has this problem where it's just dungeon to dungeon to dungeon. And I think A Link to the Past kind of has that same problem, not to the same extent. But yeah, Ocarina of Time is my number 1.
And that's one that, you and I are not people who think of the objective greats.
No.
Right? No. we don't have that. We're very subjective people. What we like is what we like.
I'm not qualified to determine what the
exactly
objectively the best video game is. I don't know.
But I would say
it's probably Half-Life. It's probably Super Metroid. It's probably Super Mario 3. I don't know.
But Ocarina of Time is one of those games that I think is pretty timeless, all things considered.
Yep.
So, it's funny because my 3 playthroughs of that game have been on 3 different consoles, which shows you that they keep porting it because people keep on playing it. So I think I did the N64, the GameCube, but then I think I played it on the 3DS. I think I had a 3DS copy.
Yeah, I played it on the original N64. I played it on the GameCube. I have played a bit of the Master Quest version, and I have played it on the Switch. And the version I play now is on the Switch just because it's convenient, but I still maintain this for sentimental reasons.
Absolutely. But yeah, Ocarina of Time, it's a fantastic game. It's just, I have a theory that there are certain franchises that if you didn't grow up playing them, you just really won't enjoy them. And
I would agree.
Zelda's kind of one of those. I would say Metal Gear. Metal Gear is a big one that if you didn't it's hard for someone to get into Metal Gear Solid 2.
Is another one.
Yeah.
Because I have tried to get into Sonic in the last few years, and I just can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Whereas I like, don't get me wrong, the Zelda games have been pretty consistently good, especially Breath of the Wild was well received, but also everyone can get into Breath of the Wild.
Pretty much.
And Resident Evil does a good job of there's always an entry point in that series, but you look at Metal Gear Solid, and it's like, hey, go play Metal Gear Solid 2 for the first time. It's like,
yeah. And I definitely have that with other series where I can't recommend it to everybody. But Legend of Zelda to me, there's a little bit of if you didn't grow up playing it, I don't know that you can really get into it in quite the same way. But I would argue Ocarina of Time for most people, I could recommend that to anybody regardless of their gaming preferences, and they'll probably still get something out of it.
Mm-hmm. Goodness. Well, mine shouldn't.
What's yours?
My number 1 should not be a surprise to you because I've recently talked to you about this.
Mm-hmm.
And this is one that I am not afraid to profess, and I've been tactically hiding my copy of it behind me. but it is Red Dead Redemption, the first game, not the sequel.
Because I feel
Red Dead
like
Redemption's
everybody,
fantastic.
I feel like everybody stopped talking about the first one once the second one came out.
And it's a shame because, Rockstar as a studio is a company that puts a lot of effort into their games. And Red Dead Redemption, to me, is the best thing that they've made. But it's also just one of the best love letters to the classic film Western. Which, if you think of movies that do that, you think of like Unforgiven.
Sure.
As like the classic Eastwood film. Red Dead Redemption, to me, is a love letter to 1950s Westerns, but also spaghetti Westerns and violent Westerns. And for me, comparing it, because people talk about Red Dead Redemption 2, Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game that was a bigger game, it had more advertising, it had more of that went into it. But to me, at the core of it, it has the Arkham Knight issue of bloat and pacing.
Mm-hmm.
And Red Dead Redemption 2 is fantastic, but to compare the two games, Red Dead Redemption is an homage and a callback to the film Western, whereas Red Dead Redemption 2 is a callback to TV. And that's why Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game that takes 60 to 80 hours to beat, and this game takes 20. This is trying to be a movie, it's not trying to be a TV show. But the core plot of this game, of the former outlaw who's trying to, basically save his family, save himself, but also right his previous wrongs, I think that is an extremely compelling story. And it's one that you see in film, and you see it in TV, of the guy who's trying to do right. But what I like is that John Marston, the main character, and I'm brain farting on the actor's name. I follow him on Rob Whiteoff, the actor who played him. He was like a literal farmer who Rockstar found and said, hey, you have a great voice, you should be in this game. And there is an earnestness to this character that I don't see in a lot of other pieces of video game media.
Mm-hmm.
Of how he acts and how the story is written, and how you can tell when the character is just getting frustrated with having to do all these objectives and side tasks to try to go capture the two guys who he used to ride with.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's a perfectly paced game with a great story. It has a fairly sudden ending, which is how a lot of Westerns were.
Yeah.
And it to me is perfect. There are some things that it could do better in some regards, but for a game from 2010, which was a massive year for games, there were giant releases in 2010. And this is the game that I always come back to. I do Red Dead Redemption at least once a year, sometimes twice a year. They recently just did a 60 FPS remaster for console and for PC that was fantastic because it didn't change anything. It just made the game run a little smoother. And the game is great. The gameplay is, fairly simple, third-person, Rockstar-style shooter, but it works well with the guns and the horses and all of that. It has an excellent expansion with the Undead Nightmare Zombie expansion, which is, again, cowboys and zombies hasn't really been done, and then they do it. It's fantastic. And it came out before The Walking Dead, so it couldn't have been negatively influenced by that TV show.
No. Just in listening to people talk about Red Dead, because I still have yet to do either Red Dead Redemption. But when people talk about the first one, I keep thinking, man, that sounds like a really good version, like a fleshed out version of 3:10 to Yuma.
Yeah, I would say that Red Dead Redemption, the originals, if you combined 3:10 to Yuma, The Wild Bunch, and I would say for a few dollars more, is how I would describe it. Those three films have a baby, but then you mix in that cynicism and sarcasm that Rockstar does with Grand Theft Auto.
Sure.
Because every character in this game is witty and pithy, but in a way that doesn't feel like you're being talked down to. And it's fantastic. And the first game is the one that a lot of people... The second one's a prequel, but it's a prequel sequel. The first game is the one to play. If you like the first game, you'll like the second game.
Yeah.
But the first game is just... The pacing is great. The story is great. The soundtrack is utterly fantastic. It's one of the best game soundtracks ever out there. And how the game looks, it captures that look. And then it has the fact that it's not a game that takes place during the Wild West period. It takes place in 1911. So
Yeah.
it's there are cars and horses and cowboys and business people. And again, as someone who's a big fan of classic film westerns, two of my favorites are The Wild Bunch and The Professionals, which are both 19 teens era westerns.
Yeah.
They were not set in the classic Old West. So the idea of cowboys that also have access to water-cooled machine guns is a thing that the game does and that those films do. So, yeah, Red Dead. I mean, I don't know what to say. It's for me, it's perfect. It's a game that I think about. I come back to. I moved across the country to live near the vistas where games like this and films like this take place.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Oh, great choices. Let's see. Yeah, there were plenty of others I wanted to put in the runner-up.
Oh, absolutely.
I almost, and because Mass Effect 2 I debated, but at the end of the day I had to put it in. I almost put in Portal 2.
Sure.
I almost put in the original Spyro the Dragon.
Okay.
Just of how much that game means to me, how much I go back and play it. You know, I wanted to put a Tomb Raider game on here, but I couldn't.
It's hard.
Red Alert 2, I kind of wanted to put on here. Pokemon, Gold and Silver. I almost put Gold on there. I couldn't do it.
Well, and that's the thing, is that when you have to try to consolidate, and I have my little list of a lot of my favorites that I did a long while back, going by year, and I look at it and I'm like, Arkham City is top 5 for me, but it's not top 3, right? That's one that I had to kind of fight to have it there. And I look at a lot of what I've really enjoyed over the years, and if I could extend that list, I could do it longer.
Oh, yeah.
But there's so much out there that's just so good. And part of it, too, is that you have that part of your mind's like, I don't want to have multiple games from the same franchise or same series. And I will say that when it comes to media, games are unique in this sense compared to films where, you know, unless a film is an adaptation of part of a franchise, like Harry Potter or Bond,
sure.
Generally the first film, if it's an original, you know, script, the first film's the one that usually captures all of the magic. Yeah. Right? But for games, since it is based on gameplay for most of these, that's why you have so many sequels. It's There's sequels because they can iterate. Mm-hmm. And you know, Red Dead Redemption's it's not the first Red Dead game, but it's really the first Red Dead game that they made as part of Red Dead. Red Dead Revolver was Rockstar, but they published it. They didn't produce it, or they didn't, you know, develop it. But Red Dead Redemption, at the core of it, is Cowboy Grand Theft Auto 4. So the gameplay has had a little bit more iteration because it's the same engine, it's the same mechanics. Sure. But the plot itself is original. But, like, you know, you think about shooters. Like, most of the first actual shooters. Like, I doubt you're going to find someone who says Wolfenstein 3D is their favorite shooter of all time. Right? I'm sure they're out there, but I doubt we're going to find them. Right?
They do tend to be the people that, like, gaming has not been bettered since 97.
Yeah.
Tend to be those people.
But there are so many games where I have my copy of Oblivion over this shoulder. Like, Oblivion is one of those games that would be top 10 for me. There are so many. XCOM is a big one for me. The newer XCOM games from 2012 on. You know, there's just so many great things out there that either make you think or they're just really replayable. I'm a big strategy fan, so stuff like Halo Wars is a big one for me. I really enjoy Halo Wars. Mm-hmm. Even though it's fairly basic for a real-time strategy.
Sure.
It's no StarCraft.
Yeah, you're not going to find me complaining because there's only one RTS that I have loved, and I've tried several.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, Ross has XCOM there. Yeah, XCOM Enemy Unknown and XCOM 2 are two games that I have sunk hundreds of hours into each across probably half a dozen consoles, platforms, and PC. I mean, heck, XCOM 2 is like one of like 2 games I have installed on this iPad. And I play XCOM 2 when I'm at the gym doing my cardio. Because that's how you make cardio fun, is to play video games while you're doing it.
I never really thought about doing it that way, but sure.
You hop on the stationary bike, put it at max resistance, and just see all your XCOM soldiers get killed by the aliens.
Okay. I think there are a couple of more questions, once again, from Akers. What kind of games would you bankroll? I don't know. I feel like I'd have to go to somebody else to have the vision for things.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things that I want right now, my biggest concern with video games is video game preservation.
Mm-hmm.
And we've done a fair amount to try to bring older games back through remasters or backwards compatibility. We haven't done enough. And so before I see a whole bunch of new games, there are ones I think are atrociously not on more modern systems or aren't more accessible. That would be my first protocol. And maybe we could remind ourselves, oh, okay, this is how it was back in the day. You know, we made consoles that weren't about the technology. It was about, here's a console. Here are the system sellers. Here are the games you should play with it. And you go buy the console because I'm like, oh, those do look like fun. Rather than, I want to get the PlayStation 5 so I can get the next installment of such and such.
Yeah. No, I agree. The preservation's a big part of it. The fact that there are a lot of games that you just can't play anymore because they're totally abandoned.
Yeah,
they're abandoned games.
Think of things like Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
Why isn't that a thing? Ross and I talked about this a few months ago when we did our Star Wars tier list. I think it's atrocious that Rogue Squadron's not available.
Oh yeah, and Rogue Squadron. I mean, it's a noteworthy Star Wars game, and it's a pretty good Ace Combat game
we
too.
We got things like Jedi Power Battles back before we got Rogue Squadron. I think that's asinine. And then, of course,
Star Wars Pod Racer got multiple remasters.
Sure. And then, as much as I really love that GoldenEye is back in some way, I really want some of those other games back. So that I don't have to go put on my Wii and hope the game runs through it so I can play it. And, before too long, I'm going to be doing a review of Agent Under Fire. Man, I would love to just boot up the Xbox or the Switch and just play that right now.
Yeah, have it with decent controls.
Or Nightfire.
Yeah, and that's a frustrating thing that a lot of that's just licensing issues.
I understand that. That's why they need to get their ducks in a row and just do it.
Well, and that's where if we were bankrolling it, money fixes a lot of those licensing issues.
Yes, because I promise you, there is an audience to have a lot of these things back. I mean, just within the Tomb Raider community, you don't know how excited everybody was to have those 6 games back, despite the fact that the quality goes like this. Yeah, we just wanted them back, and we got them.
Yeah. Yes, all of the Angel of Darkness fans out there rejoiced, all 2 of them.
Yes, they did. I was excited to just have an excuse to get to play the original games. Which I had never done before. And Tomb Raider 1, man, that is fast becoming one of my favorite comfort games.
It's truthfully, the first Tomb Raider, I hadn't played it in a while. I think I messaged you like 3 or 4 months ago that I went and replayed it after you did your video about Crystal Dynamics and all the games.
Yeah, I did a video very recently for the 2 people that haven't watched it, because it is actually becoming one of my more popular videos on the channel.
Yeah.
I got into Tomb Raider via Underworld, which is the weirdest starting point. But then I played all the Crystal Dynamics games, and I never went back to Core Design for a number of reasons. And yeah, you can call me whatever foul names you want to for that. But then I did go back and play the Core Design games, and they didn't immediately upset my view of the Crystal Dynamics games. I still really like a lot of those. But there are a couple from Core Design that I'm like, no, I still really like this. But the thing I always say about Core Design, it's an acquired taste. It's not for everybody.
Yeah. And that's but that's just one of those things where I want to see more older stuff getting preserved where it's not in a bastardized state. Like, I don't know how much Duke Nukem you've played.
Oh my
gosh. But the most recent, which I think is a decade ago now, port of Duke Nukem 3D was like pretty awful. A lot of those games that were not console games, they were DOS games in the mid 90s, have kind of gotten lost to times if it isn't supported by modders in the community online.
Yeah, Earthworm's a big one. I remember.
Yes. And then one thing I will say to bankroll things, and this is something that you and I have both had gripes about, is that we're kind of tired of certain franchises always putting the effort for remasters or ports into certain titles in the series, but not all of them.
Yeah.
An example for both of us is Halo Combat Evolved is getting a second remake, and they've now done like the fourth port of Gears of War, the original Gears of War.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, you've got the other games. Some of them
Yeah.
as beloved, if not more so. I think it's
Yeah.
weird that we haven't gotten a remaster of Halo 3.
Or of Gears 2. Gears
Or of
2
Gears
is like,
2.
if you want to play Gears 2, you have to play the backwards compatible 360 version.
Which is fine.
Which is
but,
fine.
like, why does Gears 1 need to have two different versions? Why does Halo Combat Evolved need to have two different versions past its original?
3 really, because the PC port of the game from 2003 isn't the same thing as the Xbox version was.
Right.
They changed a lot of the textures and whatnot, and they added in new weapons.
Yeah. Like, I kind of understand why they're doing it to try to hook in the PlayStation crowd, but at the same time, I'm just like, you have perfectly good remastered versions you can just throw over into there. And wouldn't it be really exciting for like the first game on PlayStation, the first new one would be a remaster of Halo 3 that you can also do on the Xbox. That would be something to cheer about. Then, well, we're celebrating 20 years of Combat Evolved, or 25 years of Combat Evolved, and we're putting it on here.
Yeah, and yeah, so that's one of those things I'd like to bankroll. I want to see new stuff, but also there's a lot of good classic stuff that's been left to the wayside that people have not had a chance to play. And it's obviously we are not just like keep giving us the same stuff. We want to see new things, but part of being fans of stuff is preserving. Preserving the stuff that's good. It's like, as much as I want to like new films that come out, I also want to expose people to cool films from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's currently the thing that I'm working on is a review of my favorite movie of all time, and it's from the 1940s.
I can't believe that you're reviewing the hit Eddie Murphy film Norbit on channel.
Yes, because that came out in the 1940s. Gosh.
No. And that's the thing with bankrolling games. I think about it. I'm like, I'd love to see new stuff. But unfortunately, with games, a lot of stuff is inspired by other things, which is fine. But then it's easier to compare games to games than it is really movies to movies, unless the movies take a lot from another film. Right? But it's like, that's why we have the phrases like Metroidvania and Souls-like and Doom clones and then Halo killers. Yeah. Right? We don't really have nearly as much of that when it comes to the cinema or to TV shows.
All right. Two PlayStation controllers that don't seem to be calibrated right. I have two retro video game stores in my vicinity. I just take them to them and just get them repaired.
Yeah. Generally speaking, the PlayStation 2, the sticks on a PlayStation 2 DualShock are pretty bad. I would say, like, they have pretty bad dead zones, and they tend to try to, come back in real quick, so they're harder to use for shooters. They're probably dirty, or you could have worn out stuff. And like Steven said, find a store they can repair them. But also, if you have a PlayStation 2, there are companies out there that make new production PlayStation 2 controllers that are still wired, that come with like a 20-foot cable, which is what I use for mine, because I have my PlayStation 2 hooked up right now. I was playing some Ace Combat last week. And it's one of those things where, new controllers actually aren't that expensive. They're like $10 to $15 a controller online.
Yeah, for if you're okay with doing some of the third-party stuff, I got a third-party wireless controller for my Switch that is a GameCube thing, but also because it means I can now do wireless gaming, wireless controllers for my Wii, and that works perfectly fine.
Let's see here. So I'm just looking this up real quick here. Because there are some games, especially for the PlayStation 2, where you have to have... The buttons are pressure sensitive, and some games just do not work correctly.
I'm experiencing some of those things with the PlayStation 5 right now with its haptic controls, and I'm not used to having to, like, slightly push something these days.
Well, like, you really haven't played much Metal Gear, have you?
No.
There's a mechanic in Metal Gear, in all of them, but it's especially big in Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3, where if you were behind a guard and you pull your gun out and point it at them, your character will say, like, freeze, and it'll get them to, like, get on the ground, and you can knock them out. It's pressure sensitive. You have to hold in the button a little bit to bring the gun up, but not, and then you have to slowly let off the button to put the gun away so you don't just shoot them. And that's an issue. Same with Ross and I both like Ace Combat. Ace Combat's pressure sensitive for a lot of the buttons, which there's shoulder buttons, which is less important for that because it's, you're doing thrust and air braking and whatnot. But pressure sensitive button, that's a topic for another time. But it's funny because they eventually ported Metal Gear to the Xbox, which does not have pressure sensitive buttons.
Nope.
So they had to do specific controller bindings to be able to lower the gun, which is that you are using one trigger to aim first person, you're using the X button to have the gun out, and then you have to click in the right stick to put the gun away. So you're like, okay, so, and I have Xbox copies of Metal Gear Solid 2, which is like, I did that when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
So
yeah, those would be my suggestions. Either get your controllers repaired, because that's a huge detriment, or go get a third party.
Yep. Looking at the other questions we have here, Dylan put, I need Oni on GOG. Steven, I don't know if you ever played Oni before, but that was a game that Bungie released. I think it was right before Combat Evolved came out. Mm-hmm. And it's like Ghost in the Shell meets The Matrix. It's not very good, but it's unique and different. And I like to see it preserved, especially since Bungie has gone into the toilet over the last 15 years.
Yeah. So, sorry, cameo appearance from my dog, Tessie. You guys just watching these things and commenting on them means I can pay for her treats.
Exactly. And my viewers, their support, that goes into the ammo budget, generally speaking. So...
Yeah.
Ross here, he put Ace Combat 3 since I mentioned Ghost in the Shell. Ace Combat 3 is a very strange game because that's an example of the Japanese version of the game being significantly different than the US and European releases.
I've heard.
But
because ever since you and Ross started talking about it, like, I don't know that I have any interest in playing the games, but I've at least tried to look up the history so that I know what you guys are talking about.
Well, Ace Combat's a weird franchise because it is one that is basically wholly supported just by the fans. The games sell well. They generally make their budget back and then make a profit. And they're Bandai Namco, so their big properties there are the Dragon Ball stuff, a lot of anime and manga stuff, and then like Dark Souls and the FromSoft properties. But Ace Combat, they do one game these days, like once every half decade. If not longer, because I think we're getting a new one. I think the release date is next year, which puts it 8 years of time in between the last one and the current one that's coming out soon. But the production value is great. It's just, you have to like it. It's like, would you go watch some esoteric Western if you weren't a fan of Westerns? Probably not. But if you like airplanes and you like weird, goofy stuff and you like good music, but all of them together, that's Ace Combat for you.
Yeah.
And they used to put out games like once a year, but that was when they were using the same engine. It was PlayStation 2. They had a bigger team. Or not even a bigger team. The team was the same size, but the games were much smaller scope. So it's easier to put stuff out quickly.
All right. So since we have long since gone through our list and now just kind of talked about this, that, and the other thing, let's start to wrap this up, talking about the future. What sort of stuff you're working on, what sort of stuff we might come back and discuss.
Yeah, truth be told, you and I are continuing to truck on with our own projects for our channels. I have quite a few lengthy videos I'll be working on fairly soon here. I've been busy with my freelance work in a part-time day job that I haven't had as much time to be able to work on the videos right now. But I'm still going out and doing the testing, still doing photography, still doing principal photography. It's just a matter of to sit down, record a script, and then edit everything together takes some time, as we both know.
Yes.
But I have quite a few reviews for firearm stuff coming out. I have quite a bit coming out when it comes to editorials or think pieces here on the YouTube channel, just because I think it's interesting to talk about. And then one thing, I don't know if you've had this happen yet, I get a lot of companies who try to get me to shill a product on my channel.
Yeah. No, and I have yet to have somebody that wants me to shill something.
We'll give it some time. It will happen.
Yeah.
The product will have AI integration.
It would work better if I was more like you and focused on a particular product I could sell.
Sure. But I'm going to be doing a video talking about why I don't like shills. I might have something about AI stuff because I hate AI things when it comes to the arts, especially.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
all in due time there.
Yeah. For me, the Moonraker book review is going to be next week, which that was a joy to run through that book several times. And then I'm currently working for the video that I plan for the 13th, which is a review of my favorite movie of all time, which I'm being deliberately coy about that. But if you've spent enough time with me or spent enough time on the channel, you might be able to guess what the movie is. Let's see. And then after that, I'm actually going on a vacation out of town. My mom's birthday, and she wanted to go to Boston and Washington, D.C. So I'm trying to see if I can have videos that will upload during that time. I can't promise that. But after reviewing my favorite movie of all time, I think Agent Under Fire is the next review I want to do. If I find a good Bond ranking thing I want to do, I'll do that. And then I've put off reviewing Force Awakens long enough. I need to do it. And I've been putting off reviewing the sequel trilogy, not because I don't like the films. I mean, I don't like one of them. It's not because I'm not comfortable with my opinions on it or anything like that. My problem is it's such a sensitive topic for people, and they will rake you over the coals for saying anything nice about those movies at all. And it's sad that I have to worry about that. That, like, you know, I try to not let these things bother me, but when 15 people wake up to and have all posted comments, it's like, no, this is stupid and you're wrong. I get enough of that crap from people that insist that Sean Connery is the best and there will never be another. I don't have a problem with you liking Sean Connery. I don't need to be reminded that everybody else in the world thinks differently.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is that when you look at things, again, it's your subjective opinion, but you're giving everything a fair shake. And if you like something that people generally dislike, you're going to get every person out there who's like, you know, they will try to tell you that you're wrong.
And give you all the reasons. And particularly with the sequel trilogy, that discussion has not died down. It has been 10 years plus since Force Awakens. I've had to listen to it every freaking day about how the sequel trilogy sucks. I've heard all the arguments. I've seen all the videos. I am so sick of it. But I've committed to reviewing the series, and I actually have some nice things to say about a couple of them.
And I say this, you know how I feel about it. I'm not a Star Wars fan anymore. I used to be. I think the prequels are awful. The prequels are the ones that people just didn't like. That the sequels did some weird stuff. And they went back and said, oh, the prequels are actually good in retrospect. It's like, episode 1 and 2 are pretty bad movies.
The faults of the sequels do not redeem the prequels to me. I still have my problems with them, and I had them before the sequels. I still have them now. And I watch them about as often as I watch the sequels. I still have problems with them.
Yeah. Well, it's not that they're perfect. It's just that I think we see this for anything. People have that overreaction back where there's
no nuance.
Yeah, there's no nuance. Like, for me, when it comes to anything, I try to look at things. You can't look objectively, but again, give it a fair shake. And like, there are some things that I have tried and just can't get into it. But at least I'm trying. A lot of people who say the sequels are awful, they see them once and never want to see them again, right? And there are some things out there that are that bad. If you see one of those so bad you never want to touch it again, things that's there, the Star Wars sequels are not that.
They're not close.
They're not to the degree of like a Michael Bay Pearl Harbor, right? They are not so awful that there's like no redeeming value there.
To me, my baseline of just awful, there's nothing there to like. It's Son of the Mask. It's Food Fight. It's the animated Titanic movies. It's the Freeberg and Seltzer parody movies. You got to be that level of bad for me to never want to do it again. And the holiday special, even as bad as it is, and I think that's the worst thing Star Wars has ever done, I just still gone back and watched it a couple of times out of morbid curiosity. It's pretty close to that bad. But it's not that bad.
It's interesting that it happened.
Oh, it's a curier more than anything.
And that's the thing, is that as a piece of media itself is not very interesting, but as why it exists and George Lucas trying to hide it because he partook in it and all of
Because
that.
I think that's hilarious. Of all the things that he's done, that's the thing he wants to hide.
Yeah, he does not like
But-
Red Tails. Like that came out 15 years ago and he used to hide that.
Yeah. No. And I have this actually already programmed into the sequel trilogy reviews. One of them I am going to pull out. I think it's going to be for Rise of Skywalker, because I have heard people call that the worst movie of all time. It is not.
No.
I went through and compiled a list, and I had planned to only do 50 movies that I thought were worse than The Rise of Skywalker, which is one of my least favorite movies. I got to 150, and I'm not even halfway through my movie.
Now how many Bond films are in that 150 worse than Rise of Skywalker?
Only one or two.
Only one or two?
Only one or two, and they're just because they're me. I enjoy Casino Royale 67 for what it is. I think it's worse.
Oh, yes.
Never Say Never Again, I don't think is actually that bad. I just don't like it.
I think it's that bad. It's pretty bad. I'd say it's worse than Rise of Skywalker.
So those are on there, but none of the official Bond films are actually.
Oh, I would.
There.
A View to a Kill. I'd put A View to a Kill under Rise of Skywalker.
View to a Kill.
Movie to movie.
It's View to a Kill is pretty bad to me. I can't get on board with oh, come on, it's camp fun. Yeah, I'll go to Octopussy for camp fun.
Yeah, Octopussy's camp fun where Roger seemed to care a bit more.
Even Diamonds
and
Are
it's not
Forever.
annoying.
I'll go to Diamonds Are Forever or Die Another Day for camp fun.
Or say, and Die Another Day is, fantastic. It is the best film ever made. No.
Okay, so I finally showed my wife Die Another Day because that is the only Pierce Brosnan James Bond film she hadn't seen. She was like, yeah, for the first half I was like, okay, I don't care for this, but it's like the normal Bond stuff. The second half she was like, what?
Look, Die Another Day is what A View to a Kill wanted to be.
Yeah. All right, I do want to answer a question from Lorenzo because we haven't talked about those. Which James Bond games are underrated?
None of them? I think that they're all fairly appropriately rated these days. I think people understand the good ones and the bad ones.
If anything, GoldenEye is the overrated game, and even then, I still really like it.
Well, GoldenEye is good, but it was important, is the thing. I don't know if you've played much of them, but like Time Splitters is GoldenEye, but better. Right? And Perfect Dark, you could argue that Perfect Dark's better.
It does some things better than GoldenEye. And I have
does some things worse, though.
It does some things worse.
I think a lot of the late game levels are pretty bad in Perfect Dark.
Yeah, I think that its third act is where it kind of drops off for me.
Yeah.
But games that are underrated, I wouldn't call them underrated. I would call them underexposed.
Yeah, Everything or Nothing is the big one. That it's not. I think it's appropriately rated by people who have played it, but not enough people have played it because. Yeah. You have to have a PlayStation 2 or an Xbox or an emulator, or I guess a GameCube. You have to have a 6th generation console to play it.
Yeah. I think the most underexposed one is actually From Russia with Love. Just based off of the sales. That's a game that did not deserve those kinds of sales.
Yeah.
I really love that game.
I have my copy sitting right over here.
Yeah. As far as GoldenEye Rogue Agent goes, I don't like the story. I think it is really bad fan fiction. But I can live with the fan fiction stuff because I am in that demographic. I should be geeking out over it. No, for me, the levels are a bazillion years long. The shooting is so banal. It is so boring, so repetitive. And almost every Bond game that I own, I have gone back and played through to beating it multiple times. It's not really that big of an ask. GoldenEye Rogue Agent, I have only ever done once. And I had to force myself to do it. I really didn't like it.
Yeah, no, Rogue Agent...
Could there have been a sequel that did it better? Maybe, but I was not interested in a sequel. Because they took the basic premise that I like and screwed it up.
And when you think about where it came sandwiched in between Everything or Nothing and From Russia with Love, which are significantly better games.
Oh, so much better.
In context. Ross put here Rogue Agent or Legends 007. Legends 007 is significantly better than Rogue Agent.
And I have yet to actually play 007 Legends.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That is the one major Bond game that like a lot of people do talk about. I still have yet to play it.
It's okay. It's generic.
I will be reviewing it because I do have an Xbox 360, so I've just got to go out and spend $15 to go get the thing. I'm not looking forward to it really because I know it's bad, but I also have a slight anticipation for it because it's a Bond game I've never played.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to hold off on saying whether 007 Legends is better or worse. But like, if it's just GoldenEye Reloaded, but worse, like if it plays a lot the same way, it immediately goes over Rogue Agent for me. Because at least it's playable to me.
It's on par with with GoldenEye Reloaded, I would say.
Okay. Well, I will reserve judgment until I've actually played through the thing, and I'll do my usual thing, which I've said before in other places. But when I review something, I try to go through it at least twice, so that I can give it a fair shake.
Yeah, and that's the thing is everything gets a fair shake, right? I'm trying to think of. I mean, there are some things that more so with films. If there's a film that's so bad, it's like I don't want to go see it again, is a thing. But for games, it's like even if it's as long as it's not like game-breakingly awful, right? Where it's like you just can't like it's painful to play it again.
Yeah,
But the 007 games. I mean, again, Legends is not good. And it was a bad 50th anniversary thing.
But it sounds like it's at least playable.
Oh, it's playable, yeah. I mean, it takes the GoldenEye Reloaded, and I think it was kind of interesting, the same idea of Daniel Craig playing different Bonds. And the actual gameplay isn't that bad. Like, Daniel Craig doing Peace Gloria is kind of fun, and the License to Kill part, it's kind of goofy, but it's also enjoyable, and they get Carrie
Lowell back.
My brain's like, Carrie Ells. I'm like, that's not Carrie Ells. No. That is entirely a
Although
different person.
I would have adored them trying to pull off something weird like that.
We get Carrie Ells playing and they play Pam Bouvier.
I know they also got Michael Lonsdale back for Drax. And I know it's going to be like that Connery from Rush with Love thing where it's like it's clear that they are not the same age as their
that's
character
fine.
Is. But I'm still really excited about that just because I have a weird liking of Michael Lonsdale as Drax. I don't care for Moonraker the film. I really like that villain.
No, yeah. Well, and Michael Lonsdale is an actor. He shows up. I still need to make you watch Ronin. I'm going to tie you to a chair, Clockwork Orange style,
I will watch
watch Ronin. And Michael Lonsdale's in the film for a single scene, and he's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, the 007 games, I wouldn't say that any are underrated. It's just underappreciated, maybe.
Yeah. I like the concept of some of them. Like the Duel is a cool concept. 007 Racing. I think for a video game, you can make that work.
Yes.
I just don't think the game works. And I'm not putting it on the review on the review list because I don't have a PlayStation 1. And I remember it back in the day. I didn't particularly care for it.
I remember getting 007 Racing before we had a Blockbuster in my town. We had a family-owned video store.
Sure.
And I thought it was awful when I was a kid. And I tried to play it when I was a teenager. Like, wow, this is just as bad as I thought it was when I was 8 years old.
Yeah. No, it's going to be one of those things that, like, if it ever showed up again as like a PlayStation's classic on the PlayStation 5, I will buy it for the $10 that it's there, and then just be really shamed that I paid $10 to do it. Because I've been doing that with the Twisted Metal games I used to play, which was unfortunately 3 and 4. And I've gone back to play them, and I'm like, oh, wow, these really weren't all that great.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that nostalgia is a heck of a drug to make you think something that was bad was actually pretty good back then. And especially a lot of those games where they were doing a neat mechanical thing that would later inspire more stuff. That could be a topic for us for the future, is how gimmick features in games. I always go to, like, the Fire in Far Cry 2, where they kind of lost that as a gimmick for later entries, but also it was a really neat feature, and there was that era of here's our gimmick feature for the game, or 2 gimmick features for the game. And that's kind of gone now. It's kind of sad.
No, I think the next topic that we'll do for a live stream is actually the other one that you suggested here, which is the influence of the Bond series on other films. because there's a lot that can be talked about with that.
Yeah, it's funny because this is kind of, it's not branching into that, but it's tangentially related. I had a friend in a Discord server who, I guess he didn't know I was into Bond stuff, and he tagged me. He's like, I think that, and he said, I think Lazenby and Dalton are underappreciated these days. And I said, brother, that's an opinion from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
People have come full circle. And I said,
it's
Christopher Nolan has direct callbacks to Lazenby and Dalton in 2 of his films that were massive box office successes. This is not an opinion that is valid. This is not 2005.
No, I mentioned it at the beginning of Living Daylights because, growing up as a kid, when I saw the retrospectives on the series, documentaries, isn't it amazing it's lasted 40 years? They always seemed to piss on Lazenby and Dalton. And Dalton I thought was weird because License to Kill was one of the first Bond films that I saw, and I really liked it. I immediately sought out Living Daylights. I really liked it. And so I was of the opinion that Dalton is severely underrated. When I actually started to get into the Bond fandom through CommanderBond.net, its forums, I realized, no, that is not an unpopular opinion, that Timothy Dalton is underrated or anything like that. Now the unpopular opinion seems to be that Daniel Craig was good.
How is that?
Seriously, if you go onto the subreddit for James Bond, it's almost like going onto the subreddit for Star Wars and getting a post a day about how the sequels are terrible. You will get a sort of, I don't like Daniel Craig, I don't like any of his movies, and I'm just like, geez, you miserable cynic.
There's a thing where it's like if we take 2 people and we make them watch the same movie and they get 2 entirely opposite things out of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't, and this is me, maybe, I'm trying to understand it, but it's like, how does someone watch Casino Royale with Daniel Craig and think it's a bad film? Right? I'd have to be reaching.
I can understand to some extent the other movies, even if I don't agree with it. Casino Royale, I'm sorry,
it's like,
I don't get
how? It's yeah, and that's one of those things I've seen it too, where
the only argument I have seen that I can kind of get behind is what it represents for the rest of the series. And I'm like, okay, I kind of get that, but I'm not going to hate it on principle because the movies, it's just, I really like this movie, regardless if I like the direction the franchise has taken. And Lorenzo, that's always just been the big thing. We all have different tastes, different James Bond actors. I'm fine with that. It's the militant dislike that makes it seem like it was the most bloody awful thing on the planet. I don't get that.
Yeah, and that's my thing, especially is we say the fans. The fans do like Lazenby and Dalton for the most part these days. There's been a massive critical reappraisal of the 3 films that the 2 of those guys did. Mm-hmm. But when we look at it from the Hollywood perspective, Christopher Nolan has, he has 2 of those 3 films having scenes remade in Dark Knight Rises and Inception, right? Yeah, I don't know, and that's one of those things where I think it's fascinating to see how it inspires things and how, the Bond films pick up flavor of the day stuff, but also they've had a bigger inspiration.
They are actually more trend followers than they are trendsetters.
Yeah. And I think most of the trend setting for the Bond films happened in the late 60s to late 70s, that 10-year gap.
Well, yeah, because they originally started out getting people back into The Gentleman's Spy with Connery, and then started following all the trends.
Yeah, and Ross, yes, the ski chase towards the end of Inception is Majesty's, and then
he's talked about that blatantly in other interviews. That was his ode to Majesty's.
And then the beginning of Dark Knight Rises is the action scene from the start of License to Kill.
Yep.
It's just with more production budget and IMAX cameras.
No, I can understand not caring for Daniel Craig overall. But it's the vehement negativity about how he's just no fun or anything like that. It's the hyperbolic sort of a thing. Because I'm like, no, I laughed a good chunk during some of his movies, and Paul and I will defend No Time to Die to the end of the day. It's got problems, but that movie does remember to have fun.
Yeah, I mean, No Time to Die. If you're a diehard Roger Moore fan, No Time to Die has something in there for you,
Hmm.
right? If you're a big Dalton fan, you've got some Dalton in there. You certainly have
I
Lazenby in there. You
I
certainly have
want
Connery in there.
I want my I want variety, and that's why I
Hmm.
have a place in my heart for all six actors. I don't
Exactly.
only want Daniel Craig. Of course not. I don't only want Daniel Craig, but I also don't only want Roger Moore, and I don't
Yeah.
only want Pierce Brosnan. I
Hmm.
like variety, and I only have specific films I don't care for as much.
Yes.
It doesn't have as much to do with the actors or their takes on it or anything like that.
Yeah.
And maybe I am just a simp for a lot of Bond stuff. That could absolutely be it. I will try to prove you wrong when we get to Diamonds Are Forever, the book.
I mean, I Diamonds. The book is it's better than other Bond books by a wide margin.
I don't remember just caring for it at all, and I might be preemptively showing my hand because I have yet to actually reread it for the process of the review. Of all the Fleming books, I have reread them multiple times over just the last 10 years, except for Diamonds.
I, as someone who's still working through my first read for the entire series, Diamonds
Mhm.
is better than Live and Let Die was for me. By a wide enough margin that even though Diamonds is goofy towards the end, I don't have any points where I'm like, this is not good. It's all just been, it's either fine to above fine.
Mhm.
Moonraker set the bar a lot higher.
Yeah, and I think the Bond books kind of had that for a little while. Really great,
Yes.
not so great. Really great, not so great, and then really great, and then it kind of did a consistent for a while
Hmm.
to me. But hey, I'll reveal all my opinions soon
Yeah, exactly.
about those, and I'm just happy to be doing them. It is funny that your own is doing the AI videos at the moment because he and I both happen to be on a Fleming kick right now, so we have discussions about that offline.
When is the Diamond Smugglers going to get covered as part of this? Is that going to be after
Okay,
Diamonds Are Forever?
it's actually going to be after From Rush with Love because chronologically that's when it came out.
Yeah, okay.
But I will definitely be doing it. I am
It's
interested to see what that's going to be like because I've never reviewed a nonfiction book before.
it's a better read than Diamonds Are Forever was. It's more interesting.
Yeah, but I am interested in doing it because when everybody talks about the Bond books, they stop at Fleming and they only do the fictional stuff. I am
Yeah.
going to be covering the two non-fictional books that Fleming did because nobody else does it.
It's funny because those were the first two Fleming books I read. Whereas two nonfiction books, I was like, I better
Weird,
read these before I read his fiction.
weird.
I may have read Chitty Chitty Bang Bang when I was 10. I don't recall.
I still haven't read Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, the guy was not a one trick pony. He was a two trick
No, he
pony.
wasn't.
You know?
That's funny. I actually do use one trick pony that phrase in the Moonraker review,
Uh-oh.
and no, in a good way. That
Sure.
like he's not a one trick pony. So it's
Okay,
funny that you
okay.
make the comment that he's a two trick pony.
Exactly, Yeah, no, Moonraker, I guess to anyone who's still watching here, and we're just kind of rambling, but still answering questions. Moonraker, the novel, I would love to see that adapted. Like there were all these discussions after Amazon purchased MGM. Like, what would they do? Moonraker, the novel, is like one of the only times I'd be okay seeing a Bond period piece because the
Yeah,
plot for the book is something you can't really do unless it's in the 50s.
I think my perfect thing would be going the Benedict Cumberbatch Sherlock Holmes
Sure,
adaptation and taking the base thing and finding a way to modernize it and still making it interesting. I
but
would
it's
kind of love to see that, but at the same time, I would really love to see a direct adaptation of Moonraker. I'm just not a
yeah.
fan of just doing the entire series as period because we already
Oh
have two
yeah,
of
no.
those.
I would just want to see it for the books where it makes sense.
Yeah,
Is
I
my
think
thing.
Moonraker makes a fair amount of sense to try to do it
Yeah,
that way. You could make a case for a couple of the other ones, but most of them I think either got pretty faithful adaptations
yeah,
or the adaptations are actually better, like Live and Let
yeah.
Die. You and I both prefer the movie over the book.
Yeah, that and I mean, there from what I've read so far, it's like Diamonds Are Forever as a novel is not going to be a good adaptation if you do it right off the pages with
No.
the cowboy village at the end,
And the
which
movie isn't that great either.
yeah, it's again. I think it'd be better if there was a laugh track, but
Yeah,
the book would be better with the laugh track too.
probably.
But no, it's just Moonraker. The core plot is like I don't want to spoil too much for those who haven't read the book yet, even though it's a 75-year-old book.
Hmm.
But it's a plot that can really only happen in a relative time period during the start of the Cold War.
Yeah, it
It's just
has
not
to happen during
doable
the
to
atomic
wait.
age of the 1950s.
Yes, because otherwise it wouldn't work. That's why they did Star Wars for when they wanted to steal the book
Yeah,
name.
I understand perfectly why they didn't get around to it. They did, and when they did, they changed it up. I fully understand your reasons. I just think it's a bit of a shame.
It is. It
Um,
really is. Because I mean, honestly, Moonraker could have been a better first Bond book than Doctor No was, or a
okay,
first Bond film adaptation.
I will review an interesting tidbit because I had always wondered that too. Like, okay, so you couldn't have Casino Royale, which would have made the most sense to do first, and you couldn't do Thunderball, which was set up as a movie. Why didn't you do Moonraker first? Because to me, that's even more low key than Doctor No.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, Moonraker opens up with Bond at the office, and that could have been a
Yeah,
fine introduction.
it's in one location, England, the whole time, and the only fantastic thing you got to do is a rocket, which. I mean, you're coming into the 1960s. We've already done this sort of thing,
Yeah,
right?
well,
Why
and they,
couldn't we
and they
just do
they
that?
basically did that at the end of Doctor No with his lab
Yeah,
anyway.
so why not do
It-
Moonraker? Here's
you
the
know,
interesting
and
tidbit that I found. According to the biography of Jerry Anderson, who submitted treatments for Bond films during the 70s, apparently Cubby and Harry didn't have the rights to Moonraker until 1969.
huh?
Because the way that Fleming did the film rights for the series is that he gave those rights individually by book to various people that he either was
Oh,
related to
interesting.
or that he knew. And so they had to go and negotiate with everybody to be able to get some of these rights. That's corroborated by Robert Sellers' book, When Harry Met Cubby. That's how they got the rights.
Huh?
So they didn't end up getting Moonraker until 1969. And I was like, weird. Okay, that sort of makes sense.
Huh?
Yeah. I don't know if that's true, but I am citing a source on that one.
Oh, sure. I mean, I believe it. I'm not surprised with how Fleming did weird Fleming stuff.
Uh-huh. Akers just keeps coming up with all these sorts of questions.
Yes.
I have read Broken Claw. uh, I'll reveal my opinions when I get to that book.
Mhm.
I do think it's one of Gardner's better books. For exhibits I want in a video game museum, I just had a thing where I listed like 25 video games that need to be in the first wave of what I'd do for a video game museum, and there needs to be more than 25. Specific exhibits, I mean, those come and go. I'd probably like pick a franchise and talk about how they influence the entire series of video games, or talk about one mechanic, one genre, and how that developed through. Like you could do a pretty good exhibit on first-person shooters. Start with precursors to Doom, and then go to Doom, and then go to Wolfenstein, and then move on forward.
Mine would be simple. It would be 4 rooms that are nothing but Time Crisis 3 machines. you will be taking cover. You will be reloading.
Yeah, I do think the perfect video game museum would have just a hall of a bunch of arcade cabinets.
Yeah. It's nothing but Time Crisis 3, and then maybe a Mortal Kombat 2 arcade machine.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll throw in a Halo Fireteam Raven in there. The Terminator 2 light gun game that was awful.
Yeah. No, Ian, that's exactly right. Just this concept of a franchise wasn't really a thing. You didn't usually buy the books wholesale. Like when they did Planet of the Apes, that was just one book, pretty much, that they went and did. And so with something like James Bond, where that was a little unprecedented, but even then, they would only ever like adapt a book at a time. Like look at all the Sherlock Holmes series. They would only ever adapt a book at a time. They never really had the rights to do all of them at any one particular point.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is that I guess you have to look at it of okay, what did they have the rights to, or what were they attempting to get the rights to? And Doctor No is pretty conventional to turn into a film.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I think of the ones that they had the rights to, I think that made a certain amount of sense to go with Doctor No. But yeah, looking more into it, they did not have all the rights to all the movies we thought they did. If you just kind of go through it. And part of the reason that Fleming did that was because he needed money for various things. Particularly, he had back debt on GoldenEye that he needed to pay off. So that's why he kind of did that.
Hey, you know, a man's got to have some space, you know?
Yeah, Ian. Tolkien was particularly interesting because, like, at one point they didn't have the rights to The Hobbit. Because that book had been tied up in certain sales. And the same thing with the Silmarillion material. Yeah, Tolkien's estate has been pretty harsh on their grip of, you know, you only get a little bit of stuff. You only get that. You only get that. And that's also part of the reason why I think we got the Rings of Power that we did. Was part of the problem there.
Oh, goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The licensing and all of that. I mean, that could be its own topic of talking about licensing things. I mean, everyone's talked about Thunderball, but everything. I mean, it's like this goes way back for everything Bond related. It's not just that.
Yeah. Casino Royale has a fascinating story of how it got from book to screen. But there are other books that went quite a process. Moonraker. Has one of the more interesting ones. Spy Who Loved Me definitely has one of the more interesting ones, and so on.
Oh, yeah. And you can think about it, too. I mean, anything. Comic book adaptations to films or to animated movies. And
oh, the dark time of the 90s, and then the early aughts.
Yes. But hey, it led to good things happening.
Where
did would we be
eventually
without Man of Steel? I hate that movie so much. That's one that I'm fine to say that I hate.
Okay, I don't hate Man of Steel. I don't like Zack Snyder as a filmmaker, and the follow-up to that, Batman v Superman, I really don't like that movie. And I have seen that movie more times than most movies I like.
Hey, really hack Snyder, okay? Hack Snyder.
He's a great guy. He is a great guy, Zack Snyder. Whenever I hear him talk about things, he seems great. I don't care for his approach to things, particularly DC characters. He
might be a great guy, but a great director?
Not with an original story, he ain't.
I'm trying. Like, what's the best thing he's made? Is it Watchmen? Watchmen wasn't even that great.
It
wasn't egregious, though.
It's a pretty pithy adaptation when you compare it to the book.
Well, it at least doesn't end with a weird octopus squid monster in New York. At least it doesn't do that.
I understand why they did that. I'm actually okay with that change.
No, same. I think it was kind of Alan Moore was being goofy for that in the graphic novel.
His cut of Justice League, I think, is technically my favorite movie of his, but even then, it showcases everything I don't like from him.
The Dawn of the Dead remake, Ross, is one that I've never. I mean, I don't hate it, but it's not as good as the original, and it has to be related back to the original since it is a film remake.
Yeah. Ian, about Lara, absolutely. Indiana Jones was definitely a pastiche off of certain kinds of movies, but definitely Bond was a big one. And so with Lara, you have a little bit of bleed over. But I have always tried to draw comparisons with a few franchises, and Tomb Raider and Bond, I think, have quite a few parallels. And certainly character influence-wise, there's a lot there. But I've also done Doctor Who. There's a lot of parallels with what happened with Doctor Who as to what happened with James Bond over the years, and sometimes almost at the same time when they had some of these. It's kind of uncanny.
Yeah. And well, I mean, it's all, which makes sense because not Crystal Dynamics, the company before them, the design.
Core Design.
Core Design, weren't they British? They were British, right? So I guess it's
Yeah.
Now, when are we going to be getting the Father Ted Lara Croft crossover? When's that going to happen? I'd watch that. I'd play that.
Yeah. I don't want Lara to cross over into anything.
No,
I just want her to be her own thing.
Yeah. Well, hey, we're getting 2 new Lara Croft games eventually.
And I'm not. That was another thing that leads back into they keep focusing on the first game. Why not the other ones? I'm not too keen about them redoing the first game again, but at the same time, I understand why they went that way, and I am excited to play it. I just wish they went with a different game, like Tomb Raider 2. Why
2 needs a remake more. 2 is a more flawed game.
Tomb Raider 2 needs a remake bad, and you could argue 3 and 4 as well. But Tomb Raider 1, it was already pretty well done the first time. I actually like Anniversary. It's re-updating. I don't think they need to do it again just for this. But that said, I'm still a sucker. I'll still play it at the end of the year, and I'll probably end up liking it. I don't know.
Look, Legend and Anniversary.
We've only seen a pre-rendered cinematic trailer, which is indicative of nothing.
Precisely. Hey, Halo 2 had that, and then we got Halo 2.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of that different time, different place sort of a thing. But also, just I'm not a huge fan when they do like these great pre-rendered trailers just to like get money out of developers. So it's like, hey, we got this great concept, give us money so that we can develop it. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't publicly release it.
But yeah, Lara Croft, Father Ted, rest in peace.
And the Jew ends up joining us just as we're about to pop off. Yeah. So definitely the last quarter of this was talking far more about Bond and about Star Wars and stuff. The first
that happens.
3 quarters were actually on topic, talking about video games.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing is we have a Bond game in the future that will probably be okay. At least okay.
I'm expecting it to at least be okay. But I will have a review for that, but it'll be several weeks afterwards because I'm actually going to be out of town when that game shows up, and I'm like, dang it! So I'll be away from my editing software and what have you to give you guys an opinion. But also that'll give me a chance to go through it a couple of times, really have an opinion on it. Versus, first impression, I just finished the story, this game's great, sort of a thing. No, I want to give it a fair shake. Maybe it doesn't hold up as well in the second playthrough. I don't know.
Look, all I know is I've been avoiding watching anything about it as much as I can. And why is Lenny Kravitz in the game? Why?
That character does seem to be... The trailer that we just got this week with him really does feel like a throwback to some Roger Moore characters, and I kind of love it. Even if it's just a really strange casting choice. Why would I put Lenny Kravitz in one of these?
See, my only thing is that I don't think Lenny Kravitz is a noteworthy musician, nor is he a noteworthy actor.
Ouch.
Well, I mean, his whole shtick was that he was trying to be like the 90s had their big revival of 60s and 70s stuff. And his whole shtick is like, remember Jimi Hendrix? I'm like that, but updated for the 90s. Yes. And I don't know. His daughter is like an industry. She's a not industry plant. She's a what's the phrase for you're the kid of a famous nepo baby. And I think Zoe Kravitz has more chops than Lenny does, but also I don't know. It's a Bond game. Akers, you're asking me about who we want for the next James Bond. Somebody who's alive. I'll take a human that's breathing and alive.
Yeah, my worry is that somebody somewhere is going to try an AI thing. Yeah.
Sorry, Ian. Lenny was the cheese whiz of Hendrix. Yeah, that's an insult to cheese whiz.
That is a beautiful way to describe it.
He's more like like that. You know how they do like the dried meat you find at like the fish aisle at the grocery store. Then they have the dried cheese next to it. He's like that. Not even Cheese Whiz, because at least Cheese Whiz is good on a Philly cheesesteak.
Right. No, any of my opinions about who the next James Bond is not going to happen, because I would have gotten on this like the day they finished filming No Time to Die. I would have started production on the next film. So my top pick of Richard Madden's out. I'm not too keen about some of the ones that are going through the tabloids right now. Callum Turner, I think, is a fine actor. I'm not too keen about him. Jacob Elordi, I think, is a decent choice, but I kind of like him to be in his 30s before we do it. But, you know.
I think he's too tall for Bond.
At 6'5" is a tough thing to sell.
Yeah, that and Wuthering Heights is...
yeah. That's a thing.
When are we going to have our live show on Wuthering Heights? I nearly bought a copy of the book yesterday at Barnes & Noble's.
Oh, boy. Yeah, Wuthering Heights, the doomed love story.
I'd rather watch the Dune love story start with Denis Villeneuve and Timothée Chalamet and the Worm.
Yeah, that's why I don't put any stock into any tabloids that are going on right now. Denny has said he's gonna finish Dune 3 and then he'll start on it. I'm like, yeah, don't bother doing any of the tabloids. We know he hasn't started anything yet.
I now I'm thinking of joke answers of who we could have there. Can we have Chris Pratt play James Bond?
You know who I want? Robert Picardo.
Oh, that would be...
That's who I want as James
fascinating.
Bond. Someone older. He's completely different from everybody else. He can definitely do snarky humor great. Why not?
We have Robert Picardo playing his character from... Was he on Voyager or was it Deep Space Nine?
He was Voyager.
Yeah, we have him. It's which he's now character.
Which he's now in Starfleet Academy, which I have a TBD on my reaction to that show because I've only seen one episode.
You mean To Be Dead? Because I heard it was awful.
From people that aren't usually online grifters, I've heard things ranging from I like it for what it is to it's okay to this feels like the worst of CW cliches. Anything in there. Worst thing that has ever happened to Star Trek, that happens every other project.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I believe that.
As you said CW, can we have both of the guys from Supernatural play James Bond? They just switch between scenes. See if anyone notices.
Padalecki.
Yeah.
Or Padalecki.
Padalecki. Yes.
Padalecki.
And then
his name escapes me. But yeah, the other guy.
The other guy.
Jensen Ackles.
Jensen Ackles. I think Jensen Ackles, if he was, he's nearly 50 now. But
cast him as a villain, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
Cast one of them as Felix Leiter. I'd be fine with it.
That'd be perfect. Yeah. There's plenty of people out there who could play Bond. There are plenty of people out there who should not play Bond. I don't think that you and I really care too strongly about it because we just want to see it.
I don't care too strongly about some things. I don't care strongly enough to have a definitive opinion. This is who they should cast, or I think they're going down the tube.
I think the things that matter more like the script.
One of my problems with the speculation on who they cast as James Bond is that we're judging him based off of previous work. We have not seen the test footage that they have. We have not actually seen him do actual James Bond. We're usually prone to people that look like who we have before or who have played action spy roles before, so we're hedging our bets for someone safe. I don't know.
I like Robert Downey Jr. as the next Bond, but only if he's playing his character from Tropic Thunder.
You mean you people? Never go full retard.
Well, that's the thing is I don't want to see. My only thing I would say is I don't want to see necessarily like a triple A-lister, right? Because when you think like who the people who are most popular
who is okay with being Bond and not needing his ego satiated.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they're taking a step down to play Bond, right? So I'd like to see someone who's a fan of the franchise.
I'd like to see someone invested.
Well, that's the thing is that, they could be a fan of the franchise before getting into it, or they could be that they get offered the position so they go and read the books and go watch a bunch of the movies if they haven't already seen them. But, it's not like Bond's a niche franchise. Like, it's some of the highest grossing films of all time.
as much as he might not come off in several interviews, there are plenty of interviews where Daniel Craig is clearly a fan of this series, and he does like a lot of things. He just decided to take it in a different way. But like, I want someone like Timothy Dalton that comes in very prepared, is really excited, has a clear vision of what he wants to do, or I want someone like Pierce Brosnan, who is just like, I am so pumped. I have been waiting to do this all my life. Do not cast me as the next James Bond. The main thing I do not want to see an American play Bond. That's my only thing. I don't want to see it.
Can we get an American doing a bad accent?
If you want to cast me as Felix or as the ally who dies in the second act of the movie, go for it.
No.
I wouldn't want to be Q.
If they cast you as Q, and I can be the guy in the background who keeps getting blown up and like put in the telephone booth.
I'm gonna put you in that telephone booth. We're just gonna have some weird thing happen.
I'll get eaten by the couch.
Yeah, no. You can put me in a Bond film, and I will be the most excited kid on the planet for doing any of that stuff. Don't make me Bond.
Yeah, there we go. You can be the new Money Penny.
I'm just gonna flirt with somebody the whole time.
Yeah. I'll be the hat rack. I'll have to try to catch the hat.
Put me as the reincarnation of Penelope Smallbone. I would do that.
There you go. I'll
be Moneypenny's assistant.
I'll be one of the guys that when they blow up MI6 for like the 4th time, I'll be one of the guys who's just on fire in the background.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I'll be the guy who's carrying the wad of cash for Mr. King.
Or there are too many good ones, but I think my dream role right now is the gender swap version of Penelope Smallbone.
Okay,
that's okay. What I want to be.
I'll be the border guards when they cross into the other country who just looks confused when they're riding on the cello case. You know,
why is what's going on here? Or like when Orlov just like runs past them, they're just like, what the heck, man?
Hey, we're gonna be Mr. Wit and Mr. Kid. I guess we're doing a Diamonds Are Forever remake.
Yes.
Which one of us is gonna have the flambe cake?
Make me the
or the bomba.
Make me the one that goes on fire.
Does that mean that I get thrown overboard?
With your tail between your legs and have way too much cologne.
Yeah, you know. One of us will have to shave our heads, okay? It's just going to happen.
I'd be willing to do that for Bond.
You know, I'm happy to be one of the Q assistants who gets shot at or goes up the weird snake
way
rope.
More fun.
You know, it's. I'll be the guy who picks up the sandwich to give to Q so that Bond can pick up the sandwich and Q can freak out.
Yeah. Those are the kinds of roles I want to play.
See, that sounds like the fun time in a Bond
something
film.
memorable that I can't screw up.
Yeah, like, can I be one of the people who's just hanging out at the gypsy camp in From Russia with Love? You know, I'm just enjoying
really
some delicious Turkish food.
Dancer.
Hey, it's delicious food. There's people wearing interesting clothing. There's a shootout, so I might get to, was it Bulgarians or whatever?
Are you going to get shot out by the new version of Robert Shaw?
That's a fate that I'm okay with. I'm okay with that demise.
In fact, I would be okay with being Benz, who goes on the train and dies with Karen Bay.
And then I'll be Red Grant so I can get killed by the fart gas.
Yes. All right. We've had our fun.
We have had our fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've been debating about doing another fun scripted video where I just take the piss out of myself. Unpopular opinions I have. I thought about doing like my favorite YouTube comments, but I don't want to call anybody out.
Sure.
Whereas if you're on the Discord, you will see me bring up occasionally, this is my new favorite comment.
Well, and one thing I will say, because I last week I actually had a YouTube comment that I saw about 10 days ago that made me go and make a video about the comment, which was not calling out the comment, but the comment got the thoughts going in my head, which made me want to make a video about what they were talking about, right? So
But, yeah.
there's tactful ways to do responses
Yeah.
that are their own separate thing, but they're still at the core of it a response to something you saw.
Yeah, I am
But it's
thinking
hard.
about doing another video that's kind of a fun, out of left field thing, like the interesting facts about James Bond, but have it more centered on the channel. Just for the heck of it.
Well, and I need to
'Cause
do
if
my
I can't-
5,000
if
subscriber
I can't
Q&A.
laugh-
You're close to 10.
I'm close to 10. We'll hit 10 this year if everything goes well.
Yeah. You say if everything goes well. It's going very well. It's going to happen.
Yeah. The only time I'm a pessimist is when it involves a hopeful future for me.
That's fair. Well, you should be at 10,000 subscribers pretty soon here.
Here's hoping. And I'd like to do something special for that, but getting to that point is still just one of those like, if it happens thing. It doesn't seem like a reality to me, even though it seems to be a certainty, actually.
Hey, it's 600 subscribers away.
I know.
That's
So,
soon. That's quick.
So tell your friends, guys. Then I'll do something fun there.
SLJ Productions is on YouTube. Hit the subscribe button.
Hey, I'm excited whenever I get brought up in the Reddit's subreddit for James Bond. I got really excited this week because I showed up 3 or 4 times.
Did you see this guy? He liked No Time to Die. What's wrong with him?
I know, right? Jeez.
Who would like No Time to Die?
Yeah, definitely not those guys.
Look. If you put enough Heineken beer sponsored by the Bond franchise in my body, I can be convinced that No Time to Die is my favorite Bond film. It isn't, but I can be convinced that it is.
Yeah. Anywho. Yep. Let's go ahead and call it for now. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys.
Yeah, thank you for being here.